boxes of corn.
That's capitalism.
It actually treats about 1% of the population like humans, and the rest of us like tools for those superhumans. You don't have any money, your bank account's low? I know where the money is. Jeff Bezos has it, the Waltons have it.
And they took it from us, right?
They took it from us.
We're just getting our money back.
Yeah, your work made that money. You deserve that money. That's your money. The 1% has never decided to do the right thing. That's why we have to take power and just spread it out among the 100% of people that exist.
Before we commence expelling this ghost from this location, before we save Jake from the lock, I will light the ceremonial herb that will give us the sight, that will give us the power we need to set Jake free. My Twitter's not working out here. Let's see if you can get a ghost. Go ahead and try. I summon the ghost into ghostly ghostness. Come the fuck out if you're a real ghost. Now. Demand it.
This is how we fucking hunt ghosts. And as we've pointed out, and as we've said, there are no ghosts.
So this is where the ghost lives, from what we know. And he's not home. Let me see, let me try this. Jake, you may overtake my body. I accept you into my heart and soul. Please, if you are here, take control of me. Use me as a vessel.
Gross.
Nothing.
Yeah, no ghosts. So I guess the lesson of Beaver Creek is there's no such thing as ghosts, there's no God, and the Bible is a lie. Off to Helltown to find out what the government's up to in the middle of fucking nowhere, Ohio. Hell yeah, bumping out here. Can I get some of this safety herb in my lungs, please? And thank you, are welcome here. Jake, you can't have any because they drug test.
Yeah, if you go to work, man, you're gonna get drug tested.
Jake, you son of a bitch! You get out here! Hey, Jake! Ain't coming. He ain't coming because he's afraid of me, Brian Quinry from Street Fight Radio. Brett, would you like a shot at Jake?
Yeah.
I just fell in a hole. That was Jake. That was all Jake.
I think we found the ghost. Jake won't let you see your mentions. He's like, don't look at your phone while you're at work, motherfucker.
Can you imagine being that sensitive? Like you.
Well, that's
like
what
that
they're
is the
PC as hell.
ultimate.
Hey, you know what? This is the freest goddamn country, and it's so free that if you don't stand up, you aren't a free person. And goddamn it, boy, if you don't stand up right now, you ain't free. Because you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, I have the freedom to make you feel bad for doing the freedom. Just get up and say you love it. Just get up right now, Copernic. God damn it. It's so free that you can't do it. You have to. It's free because there's only one way to be. That's why it's free. So be that. Damn you. They don't have anything to live. I mean, their kids hate them. They don't have, all their money got stolen by banksters and shit. Healthcare's running through the fucking roof. I tell you what, even the jobs that paid me nothing, like when I was first learning them, it was like, all right, I can do this. You just need somebody to get the plates and make them go from here to here. I can be the master of that. I was really into that, and I can do that. But after a while, it's like, you guys treat me like shit, and I get the plates from here to here every fucking time, and you talk down to me and shit. What's going on? Jesus,
You're counting my lunches. Like, you're looking at what I'm eating. You're, like, figuring out when I'm going out to smoke. Like, all of a sudden, you're in my shit. But all you said you wanted from me was the plates to go from here to here, and I'm getting the plates from here to here.
God, that was the most accurate representation of how I feel when I get a job. At first, I'm helpless. I'm a little baby. I'm sucking off the tea to the manager to tell me what I need to do. You know, I don't want to, my wings aren't fully formed yet. And then once I learn what I'm doing, I'm like, you know, y'all could treat me a lot better for this. I deserve a lot more for this.
Wow, this is some bullshit right here. Now that you kicked me out of the nest and I'm flying through the sky and trying to flap my wings here, I don't think you're giving me enough.
I don't like this.
You
at
didn't
all.
set me up right.
Polite
It's
about
just
it.
not the polite way to have
Yeah.
sex.
That's just
I-
really one way to have sex that's polite, and it's to say, ma'am, or sir, or non-binary person, would you like to enjoy some making love with me? And then if they answer yes, then you mount that person and you move back and forth politely, and then you kind of finish it up and you say that was great, and then you never mention it again. That's the right way to have sex, okay?
And folks, and that's why we don't do any sort of sex advice or sex stuff on this show, because there's none to be given.
I am wise.
I want you to write the polite sex book, like the proper polite method.
I just said it. How many times have you gone into work and then looked at your boss and said, what are they doing? You ever think about the levels at a job, Brett? Of course, the people on the very bottom. What do?
Usually clean.
Yeah, and then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that, and that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months, and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn, right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah, powerful meetings,
Yeah.
shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now. The people that sit around a table and who knows what they're doing? Nobody knows what they talk about.
Playing cards.
What connection does that person have to?
Hey everybody, welcome to Street Fight Radio. Hope you're having a good night. It's time for Street Fight Call-In Edition. That number to dial is 614-655-3887 if you want to talk to me and Brian. We're here to listen to what you got to say about work, about life, about anything your heart desires. We're here to listen. We've got some people lined up tonight. I think we've got some good calls planned. I can't wait to get into them. I love hearing from all y'all. This is one of my favorite parts of doing this is answering these calls. So thank you to everybody that takes the time out to listen and wait on the line sometimes for a very long time. It means a lot. You can support our show. We don't sell mattresses. I'll tell you that Puffco vaping products are shit, and their warranty program is fucking awful. It's so tedious that they get away with selling chintzy, horrible products, and that's the kind of anti-advertisements you get on a podcast that's supported by the listeners and not by Bud Light and mattress companies. So If you like what we do, head to patreon.com/streetfightradio. Get access to bonus shows, bonus videos, bonus audio, and bonus live streams. I do High Five Friday a few times a month, and I like hanging out with everybody. So we're moving onward and upward and got a bigger and brighter future ahead, and we're only going to go up from here. Means TV is fucking going. It's really working. We got an actual professional person involved so that it's not just like a bunch of slackers doing it. I love it. And how you doing, Brian?
Okay, cold day. Got
Surprisingly cold day.
Yeah, gotcha, man. It was like 70 degrees yesterday, and then boom, gotcha.
Yeah, I felt
Not yet.
as soon as the sun went down, I started feeling very uncomfortable, and I was like, "Oh, I don't have a base layer on. This is base layer time."
It thunderstormed last night. It was so loud, I thought it was bombs. I got up and actually looked out the window to see, because it was so loud, it scared me. It jumped me out of bed. So that happened to me last night. But I'm feeling okay now. Had a weird thing happen to me today. I was out on my daily walk, and I got on a main road, Front Street, near German Village for Columbus, Ohio heads. And this guy's driving a pickup truck, and he just slams on his brakes. And he backs up on a road that people are driving on.
Oh, nice.
And then looks at me. He's like, sir. And I was like, oh, this guy probably wants some directions or something. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, hey, they're handing chicken sandwiches out back at that ranger station back there. And I was like, what? And he was like, Popeye's chicken sandwich. They're handing them out. And I was like, oh, thanks for letting me know. I'm okay. And he was like, Popeye's chicken sandwiches. They're free. They're handing them out.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm not hungry. And he was like, okay. And he just took off. It was like so fucking weird, man.
He wouldn't receive your blessing.
I guess he was spreading the good word.
That is good too. I always tell people, I like to tell people, hey, you can get free stuff right now if you go. Just get up and go. Don't think about it. Just start running in that direction. There's free shit waiting.
Free sandwiches, Popeye's chicken, like, you know, he was like letting you know. It's like, this isn't some chicken sandwich a guy made in his house.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Popeye's.
Yeah.
Okay. And
this is the meme sandwich.
So not safe. So not a safe thing he did, you know, but I respect it. He was really trying to spread the good news.
Yeah.
But it was just wild.
He was trying to spread cheer.
Yeah, he looked, I'll say this, I don't like to profile people. He looked like a Trump guy.
Oh.
Too. He like had that vibe. You know? But he wanted me to know about these chicken sandwiches, so maybe he's a mutual aid guy.
Free ride. He likes the free ride when it's a chicken sandwich.
Yeah. Maybe he isn't maybe he's not a Trump guy. He just gave off like heavy Trump guy vibes. But seemed almost too nice to be a Trump guy, you know?
Yeah, but I guess also like you figure someone's walking and everybody assumes that like you're miserable, and it's like, oh, look at that poor sod over there. It doesn't even have a fucking car.
Yeah.
That's how people in those vehicles think of you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, cheer! You want to cheer yourself up? Go get a chicken sandwich. They're handing them out today.
Yeah.
But I squealing the brakes, all of that, spin the car out, do a fucking donut. Like, yeah, let everybody know.
Reverse on a road that people drive on is an insane move to make, ever.
Now I'm thinking also, like, when there's people passing me by, it's like, what if they just got a free chicken sandwich? They didn't bother to tell anybody when they were on the way home?
That's true. That's a good point. There are probably a lot of people who went and got the chicken sandwiches and are like, you know, they'll know. I mean, if they happen upon the chicken sandwich, then that's fine. But this guy seemed like he was on his way there. Like he was driving towards it. Not away from it.
He wanted it to be like a mosh pit then.
Yeah.
He was just, hey, everyone, come on, jump in the car, jump in the back.
Yeah, jump in the back of my pickup truck.
Yeah.
I'll take you there. I'm ready to take you right there where the chicken sandwiches are. Either that or he was like trying to bait me into his car to like kill me or something. But I think he just wanted me to get a chicken sandwich. He gave me real like, because he was really pressuring me. Like he was almost like annoyed that he didn't give off annoyed vibes, obviously. He seemed like a very nice gentleman. But like that, he was almost like, what is wrong with this guy? He doesn't want a chicken sandwich from Popeyes. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, it would have been funny when you said, "Oh, I'm not hungry," if he would have slammed it into park and then started opening the door.
And start talking.
Yeah. Now, what the hell? No, what are you thinking right now?
Do you need help? Do you need me?
Yeah.
Do you need a psychiatrist or something like that? You can use some of my time on the app that I do therapy on. You do need a chicken sandwich, my dude.
Yeah.
You do need it. Weather was really bad, though. You know, it was really windy and cold and kind of rainy. So maybe he was just like, you know.
That would turn it around. Turned your day around.
Turn your day around. He could walk down the street with a fucking chicken sandwich in his hand. That's the other thing. Like, I would never walk with a sandwich. I can't even, like, imagine doing that. But then I got to thinking, because I did have a sandwich for dinner, and my wife dug the bread out for some reason. Like, she was telling me that's what restaurants do. So she wanted to do it, and I was like, you know what, just do whatever you want. And then I started thinking about how Subway used to cut their subs, and I'm like, why don't they do that anymore? Why don't they bring that back? Yeah.
U-gouge?
They used to cut, for people that don't know, they used to take the bread and set it down. They would cut a triangle out of the middle and just stuff the stuff in and then stick the top of the triangle back on top. And it's like, that was what made Subway for a number of years. And then for a while, they were like, we'll still do that. If you ask, we're gonna start cutting on the side. But if you fucking complainers really need to have the V cut out of it, then we'll do it. And then now they're just like, you would ask the person at the counter, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know?
Yeah.
Like the kid working at Subway does not know what the old sandwich configuration was.
Yeah, it's like asking for broccoli cheese potatoes at Wendy's, and they're like, "We haven't done that since 2006."
Yeah, it's like when people would ask for hot dogs at McDonald's, and you would just be like, "We haven't done that ever in the history of the company." I remember
that's something we're still waiting for that to happen.
People would fucking pull up all the time. I mean, this would happen so often. There were two things that we didn't have at the time: hot dogs. Because McDonald's has never served hot dogs. In the run of McDonald's, they've never served hot dogs, but apparently people think they did. And then people would also want a medium fry, but when I was working there, they have no medium fry. They had small and super size. Mm-hmm. They didn't have medium. Small, large, super size, no medium. And it just confused everybody, because it's like, I want a medium fry. I want a medium amount of fries. Not a large amount or a small amount. I want a medium amount. So they would, Can we get a hot dog? Hey, y'all got hot dog? Do you see hot dog on the menu? If there is nothing on the menu with a hot dog in it, there's no hot dogs in this building. Burgers, fries, shakes. That's the original slogan of Mickey D's.
BFS.
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't shorten it or anything. So... yeah, that always frustrated me, man, trying to explain to somebody, like, you can't pull up to a drive-through speaker and just order whatever you're thinking about. You, like, have to look and see if they have the thing.
You're too narrow-minded.
Yeah.
In the future, it'll just be a kitchen stocked full of stuff, and they're just like, wow, I think we can make that.
Yeah, I was wondering about that 3D printing food thing. Last week when I was out taking a walk, it was like, because I saw 3D printed steak recently. Looked like shit, by the way. Did not. I mean, it wasn't appealing at all to me. Period. Okay. As a meat eater, though, maybe if you're a vegetarian, it's like, damn, I miss steaks. You might be able to get something out of that.
Just look like a baseball made out of muscle or something.
No, it looked like they were trying to make the shape of a fucking New York strip.
I hate it when you can't shape it. Can't do that.
But then I started thinking like
the McRib is shaped like ribs, like it has bones and shit in it.
Yeah. They just have a machine that shapes it like that. So like then I started thinking like they were saying several years ago when 3D printing was really popping off. They were like, you're going to be able to like 3D print food.
Yeah.
So, but they've stopped saying that. They just don't even say it anymore. They don't have any interest in saying you're going to be able to 3D print food anymore.
I think people are they'll come up with a different name for it.
Yeah, this is weird. Because it makes me think like, okay. So when you 3D print something, it's just some cheap garbage plastic stuff anyway. You know what I mean? Like, all you can 3D print is plastic shit. And that's because you pour plastic pellets into the 3D printer. I mean, this is a rough approximation of what happens.
Yeah.
And then it melts it and squirts it out into a shape. That is what a 3D printer is. And I get it. But if you were to want to 3D print food, you would have to put food in the 3D printer, which doesn't work. Like, then it's just like, well, I'll just eat the food. You know? I'll eat whatever the food powder is. Yeah. You know? It's just a little something I was thinking.
I've never heard of it. I haven't really heard of it as 3D printed steak. I've heard it more of like growing it in a like an easy bake oven where you just take cells and then it warms overnight and 24 hours later you got yourself a hunk of meat.
Well, I'm really into that because I'm really into this, like, making meat without animals, you know? Like, I'm into this idea. I just don't think it's ever going to happen, you know? Oh, here we go, Brett. You can walk over here and see it. You can come over here and you can see the 3D printed steak. That's it, right? There it is, right there. It looks like a video game steak. Really, it doesn't look good. It looks like the little hams you got in Ghost and Goblin.
It looks like straight up Play-Doh.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't it's like 3D printed vegan steak. And it's like, just look it up. It's called Redefined Meats 3D printed vegan steak. And it looks terrible. It looks horrendous.
Like, they got to try. But you should keep that a secret, though. You're right. You should have kept that one a secret. That one's not ready to show.
I love that.
You're right about that.
They probably did keep the first few things a secret. And then they were like, I think we got it. But vegans do not understand meat at all. They do not get it. They will never understand it. You're going to need somebody like me who eats meat but feels insanely guilty about it to help you figure that out. You know what I mean? Like, that's who they need in these companies, is they need meat.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, if we're trying to get meat eaters to eat this stuff, it needs to look a certain way and feel a certain way, and I can help with that.
Yeah, and you're so picky of an eater that you won't put up with anything less than, like, a 1-to-1 copy.
That's exactly it. That's why I haven't even gone vegan yet. Because I'm just like, one of these days they're going to print me some cheese and I'm just going to be able to toss it on a fucking printed cheeseburger. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be able to, like, cook that up. You know, you get a little cell, you get a little thing going on. Your kitchen's like a laboratory, or it's like the kitchen in Back to the Future 2 when they have the mini pizza and they stick it in the food rehydrator and it turns into a big pizza, which Back to the Future was kind of off on that. I will admit that they didn't quite have the idea of what it was going to come up as, but I just, you know, that's all. I really want to help with this. I do like Impossible meat. I do like it.
You want to be, so you're using the podcast to apply as a vegan meat taste tester.
But I'm still going to do the podcast.
Okay. I was worried. I was very worried because you'd be able to make 10 times the amount you do from the podcast by doing this.
This would be...
I'm the pickiest eater, the pickiest meat eater with the most guilt. It's rare.
This would be, and here's the thing. This would be a part-time job for me. I still have to talk, but I think, you know, I would do it. That's just the way I am. Yeah, I would do it. I promise. So, you want to take some calls?
Yeah, let's take some calls. I gotta go.
Is somebody in the chat, though? New World Order. I want to say this. Costco's veggie sausage patties are good morning snacks. I don't believe it. I've had several. I tried to go vegetarian. I tried a bunch of vegetarian sausages, and they all gnarled me out by the end. You know, it was just like, oh, I don't like this, you know. But
yeah. All right. This first one is we've got Lillian who... let me see if I can find the number here.
Lillian.
From Denver.
Denver.
With a serious issue.
Calling the podcast.
Hey, thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, it's Lillian.
Hello.
That's who I thought it was. Yeah, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So Lillian, are you one of the defendants in the case, or are you just the information pipeline?
No, I am one of the defendants.
Oh my goodness. Well, my heart goes out to you. For those of you who don't know, last summer there was some arrests in Denver for the protests for Elijah McClain. Sorry. I'm sure a lot of our listeners saw that story and followed along with it. But if you want to share, or actually, if you have any fast food opinions as well, we would take those. But we'd also love to hear your story.
I mean, I would have been so grateful if someone had reversed on a roadway to inform me of any free Popeye sandwiches. But
Thank you.
I was grateful. I will say I was grateful. I couldn't put myself in his shoes, though. I started thinking, like, would I do that for somebody? And no, I wouldn't do that. So I just feel, he almost made me feel bad. Later
It doesn't.
So
he may be a better man than you.
yeah, he is a better man than me.
Yeah, well, should we talk about Elijah McClain?
Yes, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of your audience probably has heard Elijah McClain's name now, but if they haven't, Elijah McClain was a 23-year-old black man who lived in Aurora, Colorado. Aurora is a suburb of Denver. It's a big suburb, but it's really, yeah, it has more of like a small town kind of vibe to it. And he was walking home from the convenience store in his own neighborhood, and he was dancing to music in his headphones. Someone called the cops reporting someone who appeared, acting odd, and the Aurora police pulled up. 3 officers got out, and within seconds of getting out of their cars, they put this young man suspected of no crime in a chokehold. They dropped him to the ground. They continued to choke him out. And in fact, they brutally, horribly tortured him for 18 minutes. He was losing consciousness. The paramedics arrived. They injected him with a powerful sedative, such a massive dose of ketamine that it would have sedated a man twice his size. And Elijah at that point was already dying. And that was certainly the nail in the coffin. And Elijah McClain went into a coma, and he never woke up. And this horrible, horrible murder, it's absolutely torture what happened to him. And this was caught on the body cam footage of other officers who had showed up on the scene. The 3 cops who were doing this to Elijah all managed to knock the body cameras off of their uniforms. Whoops. And however, there were multiple other officers on the scene who were standing around just watching, and their uniform cameras caught this incident. And so this community, we saw what happened to him, and it was so clearly murder, and yet no charges, not even fired. This is how the Aurora police operate, just total impunity, and they were let walk. And so, I've been one of the organizers who, from the very beginning, since August 2019, has been working to bring accountability to this case. And now we're really paying for it.
Yeah, it's an awful story, and I believe he played violin. He was like a prolific musician, right?
Yes, he's known for being just this incredible person who was really gentle and kind and, cheerful. He was a massage therapist who would go on his lunch breaks to the local animal shelter and play violin for the cats who were waiting to be adopted.
Can I,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of person who the police just came and immediately choked out and beat until he died.
I have heard the name and I've read stories about it. I had no idea that the police carried ketamine around. Like that, is
they
that like a
called in
normal
the
thing?
paramedics.
It was paramedics.
Paramedics brought ketamine and just shot this guy
Yeah,
up with the
unfortunately, it is normal.
Yeah, they didn't have anything. They don't have like Valium or like Xanax on that thing. It's ketamine that they're giving people. That is something.
This is like a.
Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, it's a huge issue, especially because like they're so. I mean, this case is like the quintessential example of why they should not be allowed to do this. I mean, everything about what was done to Elijah, and specifically with the ketamine, is just like so blatantly racist. The paramedics, they show up on the scene. They actually showed up 6 or 7 minutes before they administered the ketamine, and they just stood there talking to the cops. They're looking at this young, small person dying on the ground. They don't check him. They don't administer any care. I mean, to them, they're there to help the cops, take care of this suspect, not to, provide care. They're clearly, in auxiliary to the cops. And then, they see this, he's 140 pounds, and they see this small, dying black man, and they estimate his weight to be over 200 pounds, and then they give him such a massive dose of ketamine. I mean, these are not medical professionals who are making an objective decision based on somebody's, medical needs. It's horrifying. And they use, I don't know if y'all have heard of this thing called like excited delirium. It's this like total bullshit, pseudoscientific, phenomenon that they always cite when there's excessive force used against people in police custody, and very, very many times it's black people in police custody. They say, when you're being choked specifically, but when you're being beat, like your body goes into a fight or flight and starts like, physically resisting. And then the police say, oh, you have excited delirium. You've assumed superhuman strength. And so they have to apply totally inhuman, like, force and torture and then drugging in order to put you down. And then they die. And then it's like, oh, well, their body was just so irritated.
Yeah.
It was so that they just died on their own.
Yeah, so that's awful. That's awful. And so the police do this, and then we don't want to get you in any trouble or anything, but so then there's a response from the community, and what brought the protests to happen? Was it immediately after the case, or after the cops got away with no charges, or?
Yeah. So, August 2019, that's a pretty long time ago. There were phases, so first it was vigils and trying to bring attention to this case, and that was an immediate. But then when, it became clear they were going to let these killers walk, they were going to protect them and say nothing was wrong here. And in fact, they did stuff like classifying Elijah as a suspect, so that they, could continue to characterize the case and make him sound like it was justified, and also deny the McClain family any just basic restitution, like for funeral costs, by labeling them suspect. But in any case, so after that was clear that they were letting the killers walk, well then, we were having these protests, going to city council, demanding, like, this is not acceptable. But at that time, Aurora is this suburb, like I said. It has this, like, small town vibe. There really wasn't a big movement to mobilize. Mm-hmm. And so there were maybe a few dozen activists who really, and community members who were, standing with the family through this. But it was during when George Floyd was murdered, and the entire country just ignited with just outrage, rightfully, at not just George Floyd's murder, but just this epidemic of police terror, and people were protesting all over the place. So that happened in Denver, and my organization, which is the Party for Socialism and Liberation, we were leading some of these really massive protests in Denver. And, you know, we decided we got to bring this to Aurora. Like, this energy needs to come to this local case that still needs justice. And so we started bringing, you know, we called an action in Aurora, and the response was just tremendous. People were learning about his case all over the country in the context of, you know, this moment. And on the first day, we had like 5,000 people in the street. We marched onto the highway. It got national media attention. And this is in a town that has literally never seen a protest like that, ever.
That's awesome.
And then we held protest after protest after protest, and just this massive movement continued peacefully. But it was so powerful and unrelenting that it forced many like the city council, the governor, different institutions to open these major investigations, reopening the McClain case. And in fact, even opening the possibility for criminal charges once again, which is just huge. And this, then, you know, obviously this was really shifting the forces in Aurora. I mean, the people were standing up and saying, we're done with this. Like, we demand justice and we demand accountability, and we're not going to stop until we see it.
Right.
And this really powerful movement, that's what is now being, you know, that's what APD wants to crush. They teamed up with the prosecutors, the district attorneys. And I don't think I've even said it for the audience, but we're being charged with myself, Joel Northam, Eliza Lucero, Terrence Roberts. We all were leaders of these massive peaceful protests, and we were all arrested on September 17th in this really sensational way. I mean, they sent a freaking tank to one of the organizers' houses, Joel, and a SWAT team. They surrounded my car while I was driving. They put us in jail, and then they held us in jail for 8 days, which is like extremely unorthodox. I mean, it's illegal. You can't just hold people for that long. And this is during coronavirus. And then we find out we're being charged with dozens of felonies and misdemeanors, including, I mean, I myself have 25 charges, 12 of them felonies, which could mean 48 years in prison.
Fuck.
And one of the charges was attempted kidnapping of 18 police officers for holding a protest outside of a police station.
No.
Fucking Jesus.
Ugh.
Yes, but actually, just this week, we had this incredible victory. Because it's such a high-level felony, we're entitled to this special type of hearing, which is called a preliminary hearing, where the prosecution is supposed to prove that they have probable cause. They have to meet just like the minimum legal threshold to say, okay, we have enough here to take you to trial on this charge. And we had that just for the kidnapping charge. And that's only myself, Eliza, and Joel have that charge. And it carries 12 to 24 years. And this preliminary hearing, I mean, typically it's just like a formality. I mean, it's nearly a formality. They just pass these charges on. There's like the lowest possible burden of proof burden of proof, burden of whatever. They barely have to do anything to get this through. Mm-hmm. And the judge threw out the kidnapping charge in court this week, which was just enormous. A huge statement about the case. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a huge
battle.
But
I still have 24 more charges.
Oh gosh. And I mean, we applaud you. That's so fucking awful, and I hope for the best. But how can we help? Like, what can Street Fight people do to help with your case?
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is really for people to be talking about this and sharing it, signing the petition, sharing the social media. There's a initiative that was formed by people who are paying attention to this all over the country, including, big constitutional and civil rights lawyers, labor leaders who are seeing this like really dangerous retaliatory case. And they formed this thing called the National Committee for Justice in Denver. And it has a website and social media where people can see like all of the different ways to support. And so the website is denverdefense.org, and the social media is on Instagram and Facebook at Justice in Denver. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that there's light on this case, because that's really the only thing that holds these cops accountable. I mean, we know how lawless they can be. But there's a petition. We certainly could use donations. We've been at this for 6 months.
Yeah.
And if it goes to trial, we'll be at it much longer.
And you need money is the only thing that gets you out of those charges. I mean, I've had much smaller weed charges, but the only reason it's only because I could pay a lawyer, an expensive lawyer, was I able to get out of charges. Not comparing situations, but just really just stressing that like money it will help. As much money as you can help donate, please do, listeners.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, how messed up the system is, and then but to see it firsthand is really something. Like the amount of money it costs just to get your discovery, it's crazy. Like they want thousands of dollars to get different requests, and it's just wild. But yeah, that, and if people are listening and you're part of an organization, or you're part of or you're someone who could lend their endorsement to this and speak out against this, in that capacity, or hold a film screening. There's a documentary called In Defense of Justice in Denver. It's 30 minutes, really encapsulating the case. All of that is like just so critical. So yeah, you can find all of that, all of those, different ways of supporting on denverdefense.org.
We can get that documentary up on the Twitters too. I will post it right now on my account.
Yeah, and we'll reach out. I'm gonna send you an email too about maybe some other platforms so we could get the documentary on.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thanks for calling, and thanks for doing. You did the right thing, and you like we all agree with what you did, and think that it's time to stop this, and it's going to take a lot of bravery and courage, and the state is going to play every little trick in the book, and they have a lot of them. So I just hope you stay strong, and I hope the best, and I'll stay in touch with you, and we'll spread the word.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you for what you do.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, that's rough.
I couldn't have even joked around about a chicken sandwich if I was going through that. Very tough. Those kind of situations are crazy,
Yeah, I mean, it changes overnight. When they were kettling people in D.C. for the J20, that was one of those things where it was just like, I do not want to find out,
what happif on the other side of the kettle.
Yeah. And you don't know how quickly, and even what's going to happen. The thing about it is, if you really hurt them, if you make the police feel scared,
kidnapping 18 police.
Such bullshit.
Here, man. I watched this TV show called The Shield, and I see how corrupt these police are. You know what I mean?
They're all Vic Mackeys.
They're every single fucking there's no Dutch wagon box on the police force, only Vic Mackeys, And it's just they will put their power on you and all that stuff. It's just it really, that shit bums me out. I just the cops taking revenge on people when they're for pointing out that they're the fucking murderers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you ready for this next one?
Let's do it.
I believe we've got Cole James Cash.
Cole James Cash.
Yes.
Okay.
Formerly of Ghetto News Network. I don't know if he's still doing it. Cole, how's it going?
What's up, man? Mean TV owns that name. I sold it to him.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what they did was, I took a buyout, and then in turn, I got picked up by them to have a show, and basically bringing the Ghetto News Network to Mean TV. So what I do now is I do the Cole James Cash Show, which is basically like anything I want to talk about or discuss on my YouTube show. I don't cover really Washington politics. I don't cover really put it to you like this, man. Like Sam Cedar, he's on at 12, right? He's doing Washington. My homegirl Nomiki, she's on at like 3-4. Anna Kasparian and them, they're on at like 5. So how am I going to do it any different from them? If the only Ben Dixon's already covering it, then I got to pivot somewhere else.
No, and I
so
agree.
Like,
we do our politics thing, and then like when we do paid content or we do our own stuff, it's like I want to talk about like goofy shit I saw online or like a weird movie or music I like.
Also, even just like to back up what you were saying there a minute ago, it's like when me and Brett started kind of doing this, there wasn't anybody else doing it, so it was like we can just cover anything we want. We didn't have a beat really. We just were leftists doing a podcast about politics, so we would just cover fucking Washington politics and stuff like that. But then all these people started doing left podcasts and covering like different sections. They had different beats where they did it much better than we did, and it made us narrow down what we're good at and do that. So I'm with you on that one.
Well, it was my friend Michael Brooks who told me to start a podcast. He literally told me to do it, because what would happen is I'll just give you some background about me. I'm from East Oakland, man. I grew up in the hood, man. I grew up, around a lot of, fun stuff going on. So, whether it be dope, murder, etc. I joined the military, before September 11th, and then got out, right? And then, since then, I worked in the group home, my teenage group home sector for about 8 years. And then up until 2 months ago, when I moved to Canada, I was working at a homeless shelter. So what would happen is I'll call Sam Cedar, right? And I'd just be messing with him, and they really like me. Jamie Peck's a very close friend of mine, very close confidant. And so basically, man, like, I told Michael, I'm like, look, man, like, a lot of these leftists, man, like, I rock with them and this and that, but they ain't talking to nobody who ain't already listening, And I'm like, and I told Michael that too. I'm like, yo, man, like, actually, then Ben Dixon had kind of told me the same thing. That he was like, yo, man, we got to have people that's talking to our people, because like I said, I don't have no beef with no black intellectuals except for Nico House because he ain't no intellectual. But for the most part, a lot of black commentators are really speaking more or less to a white audience from a black point of view. Like that's how I looked at it,
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, yo, I'm eschewing all that, man. I'm going all in. I'm like, yo, I love porn, I'll be watching fights, this and that and the other. Like,
yeah.
I even had this thing for a minute. I used to call it gangster left, meaning like, yo, I'm a leftist to the fullest, man. I don't need no title. I don't need none of that, man. I lived there. I worked in, whether it be the group home or the homeless sector.
Right.
I lived there, but
For
it
sure.
also means that I will gladly, handle business if it need to come to that,
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things, man, where, go ahead.
My dude, Big Tim, said that he was like, a lot of leftist podcasts are for nerds. And there needs to be just more street people that know what the fuck is up.
Well, here's the thing. I'm a nerd like crazy, man. I watch wrestling, video games, man. Like, I'm a nerd. Like, it's lots of nerds in the hood. But the thing is like, you get these characters like Dr. Umar Johnson, Tariq Nasheed, who what they want to do is they want to position black folks in this like. You can't negotiate when you don't have nothing to take from somebody, and they're willing to work, put out these right-wing talking points and this and that. I'm like, yo, these guys are appealing, and I'm like, nah, man, like that's got to stop, because what they'll do is they'll say something like against the police, right, and then they'll mention something like anti-immigrant at the same time, where it's halfway right-wing, and then halfway not. But the thing is those guys are charismatic.
That
so
was
I
the
was
same.
like, yo, man, we need some of that on our side.
That was the same for our show too. For me, like I mean, I'm a redneck, and Alex Jones made a lot of sense to me when he was like, the police want to put you in jail, put everybody in jail, and it was like, yeah, that's for real. And then he's also like, they're lizards too, or like, you know, they're given preferential treatment or some sort of right wing bullshit. And it was just like, okay, I don't think that's all the way right, you know.
Yeah, and also, man, like, so pretty much I started my show a couple of years ago. I was on Jesse Lee Peterson for about a minute and a half before he cut me off. And then I had I got into it with Destiny because I was on a debate stream, but I told him ain't no debating because he was making. I guess it was about him making jokes with the hard N word, and one of his streaming friends that was black told him he didn't like that. And told him that he didn't like that, you know. So I was invited on the stream with Destiny, and I didn't have no debate. I told him straight up, it's not going to be no discussion. In fact, if I run into you at one of these Twitch events, I'm going to ask you to make that hard N-word joke in front of me, and let's see what time it really is. And you ain't got no watch on your wrist. You know, you can't let certain things slide like that. I'm all about unity, but so at some point, man, some of these cats, man, you got to talk to them and tell them. And he, you know, him and his fans and him hated me and this and that. He was cursing this and that. But I tell Bouch this, man. I tell Bouch all the time, you want to have a debate about something that ain't debatable, you know? Like, N-word debates, you know, that's not going to work like that, man.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, that. My perspective was that.
Yeah, and making jokes when no one's around to check you, really, just because because you got the time, and you don't have to stand up to nobody or defend it. You know, it's
Yeah, and then I just wanted to say, like, but one of the reasons why, one of the things I really got on was, for one, Michael helped push me, you know, and Jamie helps out a lot, but also like basically, like, there was this one time, you know, my friend Jake Flores.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We know Jake.
We've toured with them.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to.
Yeah. So Jake, one time, man, I tweeted something at Chapo Trap House, and I told him straight up, man, I was like, yo, man, like, y'all be having, you know, no type of black folks on your show, and no type of Latinos. Nobody likes that, but it's called Chapo Trap House. I'm like, yo, like, nah, man. Like, I told him you should have to pay a street tax for even using that name. Then what happened was I said this on this podcast, right? Then I was a member of the East Bay GSA up until I left, okay? What happened was two Chapo dudes showed up, Virgil and Matt Chrisman, to our it was a event at the TSA because we was doing work on Super Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So you gotta understand, man, like I'm not gonna just say something on a podcast, because that's respectful what I said, but I'm not gonna say something on a podcast and then not come tell you to your face.
Sure.
So I told him straight up, I'm like, yo, man, you know, it's called Chapo Trap House, but I don't see no trap Negroes on your show. I said, y'all need to rock with me. You know, I said, and he, you know, Matt was like, first Matt looked a little scared because I did have I have my folks with me, but the thing is like, you know, I told him that, right? And he was trying to explain, like, look, it's irony. And I said, yeah, my brother went to prison, and in the hood, it ain't no irony. You know, I said, if it's just irony, why you got to be as Chapo and then trapping? Because I said, you're not rewarding the people who gave you that style to run with that name. So what ended up happening was that Twitter video went all over the place. I'm banned from Twitter now, but pretty much, man, like Felix Biederman got at me, and he was like, "Yo, I appreciate that, right?" So I invited Felix on the show, and I told him straight up, like, I grilled him. I said, "Yo, them Red Scare class reductionist cats y'all rock with? Nah, man, no, absolutely not." And I told him, I was like, when y'all white folks talk about identity politics, sometimes y'all be extra with it, you know?
Right.
And I said, you know, I said, like, and I tried to explain to him the concept of a street tax. I said, you know, all these folks, you know, whether it be prison industrial complex, whether it be what's going on at the border, whether it be, you know, Dokken, whatever, y'all profiting off that. I was like, I told Felix, like, let me tell you something. I could walk into a trap house for real and convert people, you know, to our movement. I literally had to do it in the DSA.
Right.
You can't. You know, so why don't you know, I said, he was, and I remember I was like, oh, we got Justin Jackson. I was like, man, you said he's a running back. You sound like a trap Negro to you. I'm using the word Negro because I know y'all switch. And so pretty much, man, it's like, you know, that caught a lot of people's attention because those guys are cool, man. You know, they rock with me, but everybody want to kiss their ass, you know, and they respected it a lot more that I said what I said, you know.
No, I agree.
And, like, I had a legitimate right.
No, mad respect. I mean, and it's right. I mean, it doesn't have to be nothing bad feelings or anything like that, but you got a point. Like, you scored it.
Yeah. And, you know, a couple months after that, Naomi from Means TV got a hold of me, and I sold my show, right? And put it to you like this, man. Like, for a guy like me who's, you know, been through some had a hard upbringing, went to the military, I have a heroin addiction, you know, went to rehab. I got shot. I took a couple bullets during a robbery in 2016.
Yeah.
So I got shot twice in my left leg, right? And then I had to recover from that. And then like it just, I guess the best way I could put it, man, was like there's some ups and downs in my life.
Yeah.
And I told me, I was like, look, I need to get paid enough to where, you know, because I built this on my own. I need to get paid enough to where if it don't work out with y'all, I got something to take with it. And I told them how much of a price my boy was willing to sell me a car, and they gave it to me because I told them like, yo, this will improve my life like crazy. And then I also told help, you know, she wasn't my wife yet, but basically prepared to make her move to Canada, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, it was a life-changing event doing that podcast. And like I said, when you know, pulling up on Chapo, like I said, I respect most of them folks over there, man, but it needed to be said. And so pretty much, man, like you know. I always would joke like, yo, man, you know, if you ain't been to the strip club, throwing $1 bills, my show ain't for you, you know. If you ain't never stole out of the supermarket, my show ain't for you. Like, I joke like that, but the reality is like, yeah, man, like, I've really been through it, you know. Like I said, I know what it's like to get clapped up. I know what it's like, all that. So it's like, you know, everybody, you know, you can't have communism if you don't commune.
Right.
You can't have socialism if you don't socialize. So for me, it's like, I live by this, man. Like, if someone has something to say, I put him on the show and I interview him. I interviewed a cat that did 10 years in prison. He's a former Latin king, and he's basically a communist now. And I brought him in to talk about the subject. But I be telling cats, man, like, if you really about this working class, why do you have to have clout to get on?
Right.
Why should anyone have to have anything? And, you know, because like I said, man, it's like, you know, in order to take away from this concept that communism is just a quote-unquote white thing, I be telling cats, man, whether it be Africans or First Nations, we've been had that, you know. You know, it was inherent to our communities. We didn't need a cult figure like Marx, you know, to make that happen. I be telling cats all the time, it really don't matter what you call yourself, because there'd be a lot of stupid asses that call themselves ANCOM, this and that and the other. And it'd be a lot of cats who throw around socialism. But what do you do? What do you do when you're not logged in? Who you are when you're not logged into that Twitter account, that's who you are. You know, and that's how cats that all the time. So all these cats, you know, like that TV show on the Hill, you know, you want to play games with fascists sitting across from you, this and that, and you want to play the, you know, fast reductionist game. Like, yo, man, you know, they do what they do, but I'm not even gonna waste my time with that. My show is for my people, whether it be blacks or Latinos, and I keep it like that. And any white folks that's along with it, I appreciate the help. You know, I appreciate the help, but at the same time, man, like just like y'all talk to your folks. You know, I got to talk to mine.
Yeah.
And they really like that. So pretty much right after Paul James Castro, and also I got signed to Means Morning News to co-produce segments and as a correspondent.
That's great.
Because my show is not going to be ready for a little while. So I got picked up, and it's funny, man. Like living up here in Canada, I'll just tell y'all real quick. I got in a horrific accident, as I told you. I got in this horrible accident, man, and like I have a torn ACL. My tibia and fibula are broken, and then my foot did damn near a 180. So that ripped my ankle apart, damn near apart. So, like I fell on the ice, man. And then so like I went to the hospital, this and that and the other, and I was like, you know, the pain in the leg, it's supposed to because remember I got shot in my left leg, now my right leg, like I'm pretty much like, you know, I'm never gonna be the same again, huh? You know?
Yeah.
But the thing is that like I'm in the hospital, right? And I've been there like for a couple of days, and I remember, you know, me and my wife telling him like, yo, man, like we can't afford this, you know, because I'm thinking about American standards. And the surgeon was like, listen to me, we're not going to bankrupt you. And he was like, don't even trip off that, this and that and the other.
That's right.
So Well, I'll put it to you like this: with no insurance, okay, we had to come out of our savings. We paid $800 up front, right? And then basically what we did pay for was the out of pocket, like and the out of pocket like medical equipment, things like that. And I'm just gonna tell y'all, man, like I showed Naomi the bill. She said she couldn't believe it, but she was also like emotional because America's a scam. Put it like this: my bill was less than $1,000 for 2 surgeries and 5 days in a hospital. They waived the nights at the hospital. They waived that. So you gotta understand, like we still ended up going through our savings, which was like $4 or $5 grand, right? And that money was actually so my wife could get her tubes untied so we could have a family. So it's like the only reason I needed GoFundMe is because we went through our savings, you know, to pay for the out-of-pocket medical. And if it then now the out-of-pocket medical stuff, that is a couple grand, okay?
Right, but like
just a hospital stay, surgery.
If I twist my ankle super bad and I gotta go to my like emergency account that's got $1,000 in it, like that, I'm not gonna be as affected as if all of a sudden there's a lien on my house and car and I got collectors calling me all the time for several $100,000 surgeries.
Exactly. I mean, a surgeon was literally saying, like, look, we're not going to bankrupt you. And like I said, they waived the private room. I was there for about 5 days. I live in Sudbury, Ontario. You got to understand, this is like a small mining town. So being from East Oakland, being from the hood, out near Silicon Valley, moving to this, it's an adjustment, you know. But it was just unbelievable to me, the treatment I got. Like I said, you know, they got, you know, all this, you know, was cool. Like I said, like I sent y'all I do have to do a GoFundMe because, like I said, just we went through our savings, you know. But the amount we went through our savings, like we can get it back reasonably, and hopefully through the GoFundMe we can do that. Cause she, you know, so she can get her operation. But in America, that would have costed me like $60 grand, man. No,
sure.
Elite.
Well,
and it was I just couldn't believe it, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to call you on the phone off the air and rap with you and see if we can figure out some stuff. I'd love to get more involved with what you're doing. And the chat wants to know where they can find more of what you do.
Okay. Just go to patreon.com/Cole James Cash Show. And you can also patreon.com/Cole James Cash Show, and you can also go to youtube.com/Ghetto News Network. I was doing the show every day up until I got injured and I can't, you know, I haven't been able to move, but the show is normally 5 days a week at 5 p.m. for about an hour. I have about 18 correspondents, but yeah, like I haven't been back this is my first appearance in a month. And because I'm starting to feel comfortable, you know, sitting down. But yeah, pretty much, man. Like you know, that some you guys supposed to go from the chat. I'm not on Twitter, but if you could repost that to what you call it, your Twitter and all that. That'd be big help. Cole James Cash Show. Y'all can holler at me, and you know, y'all can see me on Means Morning News in a couple weeks. I should be making a couple appearances a month. You know, it's all good, man. I appreciate that.
Before you hang up, I have to ask you something now. What kind of wrestling you into? What kind of wrestling you watching?
Okay, there's a video on Majority Report where I talked about living with Latino Trump supporters, and I literally introduced myself as NJPW because I didn't know what to call myself. So, you know,
New Japan.
You do keep it real. New Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, at the time, like Kenny Omega and Okada had that 5-star match.
Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Like I said, you know, I mean, like I said, and I think the G1 climax was going on, man. Like, you know, I rock with New Japan. You know, let's put it like this. I love Chris Jericho, the character, but Chris Irvine is a piece of shit.
Yeah, he sucks.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, wrestling is just...
He's so talented.
Wrestling is just an inherently... Yeah, but wrestling is such an inherently scumbag-ass sport, but I do like it how in Japan they treat it with some seriousness, you know? I don't mind WWE. I do like it. When Vince goes, I think it'll be better because then you have booking that makes sense, you know? But for me, man, I love New Japan, and I like to check out NXT, you know? I rock with a little AEW, you know what I mean? And, yeah, man.
Did you watch the Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa?
No, I haven't.
I'll
be honest, I'm behind on a lot of things.
I'm an AEW. Me and Brett, this is a very firmly AEW podcast. We went to their first like 4 pay-per-views live. Like, so we
talking about the elite one.
Yeah, we went to All In, Double or Nothing, and All Out the next year, and then it started to fall apart. We weren't able to make them, but yeah, we were at the first few.
We went in Cleveland to one of the.
We went to a Dynamite up in Cleveland, but yeah, I'm a huge. I love AEW, and like Jericho was a guy that I thought was washed and didn't give a shit about him. And then when he showed up in Japan and then in New Japan and in AEW, I was just fucking blown away that a character like that could exist. Just the Judas character.
The Lion Tamer, man.
Yeah.
He brought back the Lion Tamer. Yeah, and it was like I said, man. It's like, I love it. I used to clown. Like I used to make a reference that nobody would really get, and I'd be like, yo, man, y'all messing with me in my hood, man. Like I tell that, she said, you messing with me in my hood, yo, you getting a burning hammer, no kickouts. Don't mess with me, man. I will smash you. I make all kinds of little references like that. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I've tried to call several times, and I can never get on. And I texted her, and I was like, no, how do I even get on?
Never try.
And she was like, just DM. I'm like, all right, cool.
You never have to try again. You just got to get a hold of one of us, and we'll get you on.
I got you. Yo, thanks so much, and thanks for listening to my beats, man. If you Google my name, I'm actually more known for my music than my podcast.
Yo, you're good at music. You're really good at music, too.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
All right, guys. Thanks for your assistance. Bye.
You too. Have a good night. Always got it. Somebody brings up, I'm a nerd. I'm into wrestling. I'm like, wait, let's find out how much of a nerd you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm a motherfucking nerd.
It is also
that's into wrestling.
It's also interesting when I say like the DSA is nerds or something, or like the left is nerds. They also are snooty nerds. Like what he treats wrestling as nerdery. That's interesting to me because it is a very nerdy thing. It's intense how much you can overthink wrestling.
Yeah.
From like the booking to the way the matches are conducted to the backroom antics to the social media to the dirt sheets to the actual storylines. There is so much data to pour over.
Yeah, you can really like the way the dirt sheets. I am a dirt sheets. I love the dirt sheets. I love that fucking behind the scenes stuff. I'm like so interested in how they put it together and then even just like you said inside the match, it's like how the fuck do two guys that don't speak the same language put on a fucking coordinated fight? You know what I mean? Like how does that even work? So like you'll be watching like, okay, I think he's like kind of, like I'll be watching, I'll be like, I think he's like kind of slapping him on this leg before he hits him on that. Like I'll try to figure it out. I still don't have it figured out. I think it's really something you got to do to understand. I just don't think guys like us could ever understand it just from looking at it. So, and it's funny because it's like, anytime somebody says they're a nerd about something, it immediately like catches my attention. And it's like, cause I've said this to you a million times, and like as far as like documentaries that I watch is like I don't watch a ton of like political documentaries. What I watch is my fascination is documentaries about really specific groups of people that do very specific things. Like I'll fucking sit and watch a movie about fucking people that like their whole life is playing Scrabble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I get way into that. Like with this, I watched a whole movie, a whole ass documentary, 90 minutes at least, about people who do Rubik's Cubes. And was just like go to Rubik's Cube conventions and like speed run Rubik's Cubes and like get them done in like 8 seconds and shit.
Yeah.
And just like, it's not about like what they do. It's not like I'm like, I am impressed that you can get a Rubik's Cube done in 8 seconds. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm really interested in is like what type of person gets way into Rubik's Cubes. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah. Someone that has intense focus. Maybe you need to avoid everything else about your life and focus on your speed.
And from what I notice, it's like more of a kid's thing. And I think what really happens is these kids grow up looking at YouTube. And like, I'm sure one of them just catches a fucking YouTube video up with a guy or a girl or a non-binary, a person going and doing the Rubik's Cube in 8 seconds. And I was like, I'm going to learn how to do the Rubik's Cube in 8 seconds. Because I'm that type of dude. Like, I'll see somebody do something, I'll be like, I'm going to learn how to do that. Then I never learn how to do it. But I say I'm going to in the minute. And, like, there are people that are way more dedicated than me who are like, I'm going to fucking learn how to do this and do it.
I had a Rubik's Cube phase at the exact same time as her.
Yeah. yeah.
And I kept it with, anytime I saw one, I would just show people that I could do it.
It's crazy. I could never.
There's only like 4 moves.
Never figured it out.
It's just, you just do like, it really, once you look at it, it's like doing your times tables. Like it just becomes easy to figure. Clack, 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 clack. You know how to move each one. There's just a code for each one.
It seems literally.
I don't remember it at all.
I've ever had one in my hand.
I smoked it all away.
Every time I've ever had one in my hand, it has felt impossible. And I've looked at it and been like, this is like an actually impossible puzzle for me. Maybe for other people, this is like, oh, I can look at this and this is, you know what I mean? But for me, I look at it and I'm like, no, I can't make this happen. Like, I just don't understand how, okay, so there's 2 greens and a blue in this row. Well, how the fuck am I going to get rid of that blue and get a green over there? The green's all the way on the other side of the goddamn cube.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I give up. I don't know. I'll never learn it, you know? But
one of my favorite memories is when I moved to Texas. When we moved away from Ohio, we did a garage sale with all of our stuff. And there was the Rubik's Cube that I learned on. I threw it to the side and lost my talents. I was selling it, and this very old man, 70-year-old man in a beat-up white shirt, walks up to the table. He picks it. He looks at it. He does the thing. It's not as fast. It's not 8 seconds. He just does the click, 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 click. He does it. I'm watching him, and he hands it to him, and he's all proud. And he's like, I never forgot how to do those things. And then he says, man, I tell you what, when you get to be my age, they finally give you the good pills. He's like, I'm soaring like a kite right now. And they finally believe me that this is all I needed to feel happy. He was like fucking convinced his whole soul. I was like, all right. And I was like, do you want to buy the Rubik's Cube? And he was like, well, no, I already did it. And I was like, oh, fuck.
That's good. I love it.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
Erica still brings it up. She's like, you remember that old guy that did the Rubik's Cube? Of course I do.
Yeah. You don't forget a guy that can do a Rubik's Cube. I've never seen somebody do one in front of me, so it's pretty cool.
I think that if you would take 3 hours to watch a YouTube video and practice, you would be like, it's all a lie. People think they're smart because they can do it. All you have to know is these simple motions.
Right. I would end up getting mad at it.
Yeah. That's all it was. It's like changing the brake. Changing your brakes on the car is more impressive than doing a Rubik's.
No, it's not. The Rubik's Cube is tough.
Nobody needs a Rubik's Cube to be done.
That's true. It doesn't need to be done, but it's hard. I don't know. I actually also, one of my favorite documentaries of all time, and it is about the dumbest thing in the world, is people who play professional Monopoly.
Oh, fuck them.
And it's like,
fuck those people.
What a stupid game to like.
That makes me mad. It's the worst game. It's the reason that people hate board games.
It is.
The adult board game surge happened because all of us thought Monopoly was the board game, and then we found out there was other things, and we were so scarred from Monopoly. There's plenty of people that are like, they're called board games for a reason. And
I didn't like board games till I met you.
Yeah.
I was Monopoly. Like, no, I've played Monopoly. It's fine. I mean, but that's the only board game I knew, Monopoly and Sorry. So it's kind of like, okay.
All right. You ready to get these calls?
Yeah, let's do some.
Got one more. Oh, this is, we got Carter Moon from the Vague Booking Podcast.
What's up, Carter Moon? How's it doing?
Echo Park location, the Echo Park Lake situation.
Another heavy subject here.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Park shit. What's up? How's it going, Carter? How's it going? How's Echo Park doing?
It's been a rough week. Not good.
It's crazy. I'll tell you this. Let me tell you this, Carter. I have been to Echo Park in my life 2 times, and I love that place. And every time I picture moving to Los Angeles, I live by Echo Park. It's like every single time.
It's the hip, trendy neighborhood. Especially like 10, 15 years ago, it was the place where like it was the equivalent of Brooklyn and everything like that, and it was gentrifying. But like, does mean there's a lot of fucking cool things to do there. It's like a really iconic place. People know it from movies and TV, even if they don't know what it's called. And it is a beautiful park.
It's the duck.
But
they have
unfortunately,
those duck gimmicks there. The boats that are ducks.
Yeah.
That's
you get in
Echo
the swan
Park.
boats and you paddle them around.
boats.
Yeah.
Paddle boats.
I call them duck gimmicks.
Yeah.
So
they're really fun. But the whole situation that happened is that like there's been unhoused folks who've been like camping out there and sort of forming a community for at least a few years now. And like with the pandemic, that means like people have like kind of congregated there even more. And it's kind of become a like point for like homeless folks to like organize themselves and form a community. And like the Echo Park Rise Up like unhoused community has really been like one of the only good things to happen in the pandemic, where like you've had these unhoused folks like organizing themselves into like this autonomous community where like they handle their own trash, they've figured out showers, they figured out like a community pantry. It's really become this like amazing place where like people are taking care of each other in like a real tangible way. Just any sort of like mutual aid that needs to happen has kind of like flowed out of this community where people are like protecting and taking care of each other. It's a really, really inspiring thing. And of course, a lot of the like wealthy homeowners around the area, the piece of shit city council member, Mitch O'Farrell, whose office is like a block away from the park, they can't stand that like people had the audacity to like organize themselves and take care of each other when the government fucking abandoned them.
Yeah.
In the start of this pandemic.
The government, the government
like,
hasn't showed up for fucking anything. Like, it's ridiculous that at this day and age with social, like, we know what happened in other places. I can do a fucking goddamn, I can put a PlayStation headset on my head and go to China and walk around the streets and see what the fuck that they did. Like, I can read about Vietnam, I can read about New Zealand. Like, they fucking dropped the ball over and over and over again. And
exactly.
And I never got a stimulus payment. I never got one, and I'm not alone. Yeah. And there's lots, and those people never got one either. They weren't even considered. I'm sure.
No, they weren't even considered for a lot of different protections because, like, at the end of the fucking day, like, LA's homeless death count went from about 3 a day before the pandemic to 4 a day on average. So that's 4 people a day dying on the streets here in LA County. There's about 60,000 people unhoused in LA County, 40,000 in like LA City proper. It's just like gotten so much worse because like we technically have an eviction pause and everything like that, but obviously scumbag landlords are still pushing people out of their housing. It's very clear that people are going to end up on the streets even more now than they were before. And people like this council member, Mitch O'Farrell, are directly responsible for that by spending, very prioritizing luxury housing over like public housing and affordable housing. So like this situation has been boiling for a long fucking time. Right before the pandemic started, they actually tried to clear out the park and it was blocked by a bunch of community organizations. And it's waited a whole year because the pandemic put everything on pause. But last week it came out that they were going to try to clear the park again after this community had become like even stronger, even more vibrant. And people made it clear they weren't going to take that line down. And on Wednesday last week, something like 300 people showed up outside of Mitch O'Farrell's office to demand he like answer their questions and answer why he's clearing out this community of people who are doing the best they can to survive. And he didn't show up. And in fact, by like Wednesday night, he had ordered about 400 riot cops down to the park. They had like 5 LAPD helicopters circling the park. And they took this entire massive park and surrounded it in fencing and basically separated the unhoused folks on the inside and trapped them inside behind the fencing and left everybody else, all the activists that were trying to help them, on the outside. And they just created a militarized zone, basically. They created an open-air prison in the middle of this fucking park. And I didn't get to see it Wednesday night. I went down there on Thursday night, but it was a fucking grim thing to see. You know, it's one thing to, like, talk about how the cops do class warfare and they protect property over people, but to, like, literally physically see it with your own two eyes is fucking scary.
Yeah. What did I see? Can I ask? I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody explaining that they had been given a hotel room and that they didn't want it, obviously. They said they were fine where they were at before.
Right.
But what is that part of the situation, the hotel
It's really
rooms?
fucking complicated because there is this program called Project Room Key where they'll put people in a hotel room, but oftentimes they're in the hotel room for like a week or two and they get bounced right back out.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to let them...
Intense restrictions.
Right, there's no way they're going to let them stay there, and they're probably going to not allow alcohol or any of that stuff in there. Like,
exactly.
It's probably another one of those...
Check in at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Check out at 7 a.m. Like, you're locked in your room overnight. You can't have any guests. Total sobriety. And it's the same with the shelters. The shelters are even worse where, like, people can't bring their possessions with them, and it's like, where the fuck are they supposed to take their possessions? The, like, last things they have on planet Earth. People get separated from their partners all the time. There's reports of women being assaulted at them constantly, and non-binary and trans folks getting assaulted constantly. Like, there are a lot of fucking problems with the limited resources that the city uses. And it's completely fucked because they have the money. Biden has promised them FEMA money to just seize hotels and convert them into housing and convert them into, like, more permanent shelters for folks. And they're not doing that. They're still just playing this, like, ticky-tack bullshit of, like, well, you get a week here, you get 2 weeks there, and then you bounce in and out. You lose your community. You lose the sense of, like, having a special place to go to where, like, you're sharing resources and you're sharing a sense of belonging and security. That all gets destroyed, and you just have to go through the government bureaucracy forever.
Right.
And that's really why they can't tolerate the Echo Park community. They can't tolerate that there's, like, unhoused folks organizing themselves effectively and
or
being able to say no.
Or that want to be there. Like that like they're like,
right.
You know, well, why won't they come stay in a hotel where you have to get there at 7 p.m. and you have to leave at 7 a.m. and you can't have beer and you can't have people over and you can... You know, it's like living in a fucking rehab, because that's the shittiest thing. The way to deal with unhoused people is not just to, like, not meet them where they're at, because that's what you really want to do. Right. You got to meet them where they're at, and maybe they are out there because they have a drinking problem. But the fucking thing is, like, it's not up to you to help. It's not up to you to force them not to have one. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. You got to meet them where they're at.
People who work. There's tons of fucking people who work. You know, there's tons of fucking people who, like, work in construction, work in fast food, work wherever. And, like, straight up, like, I just don't know how, like, if you're relying on LA's, like, terrible bus system, how you're supposed to, like, get in and out on time. If you're working, like, a late shift at Taco Bell or whatever the fuck, I don't know how the fuck you're supposed to, like, adhere to these rules and everything. So they're literally, like, asking you to sometimes, like, quit your job in favor of, like, getting this, like, shitty temporary shelter.
Right.
So yeah, like, the thing of it is, though, is that, like, we, like people were able to force this issue, you know what I mean? Like, they weren't able to just, like, shove all these people to different parts of the city and, like, disappear them from the lake and everything. Like, I am really, really glad that, like, activists were able to, like, make this into a thing that became, like, national news.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, a spectacle and everything, where, like, you got to see, like, who the LAPD really serves and what their real function is. You know, I was there on Thursday night, and we were camped out outside of Mitch O'Farrell's office, and, like, the tactics that the riot cops used were, like, fucked up. They were, like, way worse than anything I saw at the BLM protests this summer, honestly, because, like, they had us kettled on 3 sides in this intersection with just rows and rows of riot cops. And at one point, they straight up ran an ambulance going east to west through our crowd, so we all had to move out of the way for the ambulance. And then coming west to east, they sent like a line of a dozen squad cars with their sirens on to try to intimidate us and break us up with the squad cars. And like, luckily we formed ranks and we blocked them, and all the squad cars had to turn around. But like, they were fully using intimidation tactics. They like didn't give us dispersal orders where we could actually hear them. They like wouldn't talk to the National Lawyers Guild. They wouldn't talk to a cop liaison that we tried to send to them. Like, all the shit that's like the normal back and forth with cops at protests, they just had zero interest in doing. They basically just waited us out until about like 8:30, and then they just pressed us forward. And they were using like riot cops with batons and everything, pushing us back. My friend Jacob was trying to like help this like very short woman who kept getting shoved over again and again with a baton. And when they caught him like helping this woman up, this, you know, guy popped over with a beanbag shotgun and shot Jacob. And at that point, like, we just had to fucking split. But yeah, it was just like really, really fucking intense to see like the $3 billion budget for LAPD in full effect in person.
Yeah, it sounds like probably, and this is my guess because it's people without homes, that the people in the neighborhood are like sort of okay with what the police are doing, and that the police are going to be a lot less careful in this situation rather than the way they are when at the BLM marches where everybody around was against them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There was only like 400 of us on Thursday night, as opposed to, you know, like thousands for the BLM protest, so they could be way rougher.
Sure, and
the other side of it.
Are the numbers gaining though? Like, as actions happen, are the numbers gaining?
What fucking sucks is like there were like a good amount of people out on Wednesday night, and again Thursday night there were a ton of people, but like they arrested 182 people in one go on Thursday night. It was a lot of journalists. It was like National Lawyers Guild people. Like, they didn't give a fuck. They just like rounded everybody up. Like I said, I got super lucky that I was able to dip out just in time.
Yeah, I felt that. I mean, at the BLM protests, like I sort of felt like every time that we had to run was just like, it reminded me of being a teenager, and it was just like having to sit and talk to my wife and daughter, like, all right, if you get scooped up, I'll come and get, you know what I mean? Like, teaching each other teaching each other how to deal with getting picked up by the police is really tough. And over the past year, a lot of new people are dealing with the police. So, like,
well, but I think that's the thing that's really cool, is that people do know how to do this now. You know what I mean? Like, people know how to like handle getting arrested at a protest and stuff like that. Like the like court support, the people, because they just like charged people and ticketed them there on the street. They didn't like take them to the jail, what I saw at least. And so like people were getting charged, and there was court support like already there just to like pick them up and everything. Like the bail fund stuff was like set up and everything like that. Like, in general, like the activist culture here in LA is like really fucking strong, and like it makes me really, really glad, because like it's just better than it was even a couple years ago, and it's really sick.
Yeah. Well, is there anything we can do to help out? Is there like a mutual aid site or anything?
You should check out Street Watch LA. They've got some donation stuff. They do a lot of the like direct support of the unhoused communities like all around LA. They always need money. They're always passing out resources. And also, honestly, check out knock-la.com. They're like an independent news outlet here. And they did some really fucking good in-depth reporting on everything that happened. You know,
great.
That's about it.
Keep up the good work, Carter. We see you, and it's brave to do what you're doing, and we're behind you 100%.
Listen to the Vague Booking podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. We've got a new series coming out soon. Cheers.
Nice. See you later, Carter. Big Street Fighter Carter. Big fan.
Yeah, foundational element.
Oh, shoot. Absolutely. Smoking. That's like a little humor for everybody. It's from the movie The Mask. From when I was a kid, I did cut out
the pictures of Cameron Diaz from the movie The Mask and hang them on my wall as a child, like a total creep.
Yep.
But I was a teen.
Yeah, you were following the rules.
I was doing what you got to do. You stick the pictures of the women you're into at the time, and at that time it was her. So
well, that's great.
Yeah, just letting you know. Smoking. Echo Park is crazy. Yeah, beautiful place. Like I said, when I picture myself living there, it's because I've been to Jack's house in Echo Park, and like I just find it to be the most beautiful place, and it's just like I love it there. I fucking love Los Angeles.
I shared the live stream of the battle with the police. It looked awful.
Echo Park?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Battling with the police sucks everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
just a beautiful place, I'm saying.
All right, the next call we have is, I believe, Final Straw Radio.
Holy moly,
another radio out of Asheville.
Asheville. Hey, I'll be in Asheville, Final Straw Radio.
Thanks for calling Street Fighter. Who are we talking to tonight?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'll be in Asheville in June.
Hey, this is Bert. How's it going?
Hold on, who is this?
Awesome. You going to do the auditorium again?
No, BP's not going to be with me. Well, I guess he could come with me. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I'm going there for a wedding, actually. And I will be fully vaccinated, and so will my wife, and so will my daughter, so we will not bring COVID to you, I promise.
Are you getting the J&J or one of the
No, I mean, the thing
less
is,
superior ones?
I really wanted to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Like, that was what I wanted. So I went to the place to get my vaccine. And I was like, oh, if you got the Johnson & Johnson, I'd like to get it. And they were like, sir, you are strong, handsome, fancy, very high class. That's what we give Moderna to people like you. So I got Moderna, but it's because I like have a certain high class air about me. It's the rich man's, the thinking man's, the strong man's. It's for like people that have it all, the haves.
The enemy of the Final Straw.
Yeah, but I'm one of
exactly.
They just see that in me as a person. I'm one of the haves. I'm Johnson & Johnson. That's for the working people.
Jeez, you have a lot to say.
It's a one-shot thing. I just don't think about that one-shot stuff. Seems cheap to me. That's all.
The 2 shots are way more effective as far as I understand, as far as not getting sick down the road. I got the 1 shot the other day, but it's like there's like a 30% difference in as far as if I'm going to actually get symptoms down the road.
Yeah, but it's 100% that you're not going to go to the hospital, I think is what they've said.
Yeah.
It's like 100% that you won't get hospitalization.
You're not going to die.
So
yeah,
please introduce yourself before we rush into this, so everyone knows who you are.
Hi, so I'm Bert. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Final Straw Radio, along with William Goodenough. We actually air on WCRS on sometimes on Sundays, but every week on Mondays. And it's an hour-long anarchist interview show that's based out of Soligiland, or Chaligiland, I got corrected on the pronunciation, but so-called Asheville, which was mentioned. And yeah, it's a long-form interview show. We talk politics. We interview activists from behind bars, authors, people in various parts of the world, just about the struggles that they're engaged with, and try to amplify their voices.
You do a great job. The show is very, very well put together.
Thank you so much.
But I wanted to know, I want to go back to the previous conversation. Do you have folks in your life that think because you're anarchist that you don't trust the vaccines and that like you think it's all bullshit?
No. I mean, most of the people that aren't anarchists that are in my life tend to be like liberals and leftists. Okay. So like non-anarchist leftists. So no, I mean, there's definitely, I think that I would like to see more dialogue, and I see this in other countries or in other places outside of North America, or Anglophone North America at least, discussions about repressive state measures and the normal that it proposes. And I see that coming from the reactionary right in the United States.
Yeah.
I think they're coming at it from kind of a, I don't know, it's weird. They're bootlickers, but then they also don't like the taste of the boot, but that makes them love it more. I don't know what it is, but it's when they think about the 5G, or they think about these like conspiracy theory reasons for the New World Order or whatever, why they shouldn't get vaccinated. And that's their motivation, as opposed to, no, these like lockdowns are actually normalizing to some degree us, having to stay inside of our house for long periods of time, normalizing the austerity approach towards like social issues like a disease that's spreading, rather than taxing the rich and paying everyone some some basic income so that we can all live, giving extra money and hazard pay to the people that are doing the jobs, that are going out there and taking care of people or delivering stuff, doing logistics work. That they'd rather just the poor get thrown under the bus and, buried in mass graves or whatever. And I think that sounded really conspiratorial, but no, I think that that's a discussion I would like to see more of. It seems like folks in Canada are talking more and more about the normalization of social separation that could be impacted. And countries like in France, like it kind of correlates with this law that they passed last year that made it illegal in response to the Yellow Vest movement to videotape police, or in the UK where they've just taken the existing limitations on public gatherings and ramped it up in the name of public safety. But so there was this like demonstration a couple of weeks ago that happened after the murder of a civilian by possibly by a law enforcement officer, an off-duty cop, was just like heavily repressed, and they used as a justification this new public safety order that they had put in that limited the size of protests, that made it so that if you don't have if you don't know that you shouldn't be at a protest, you can be arrested anyway. Whereas up until now, if you just said, I wasn't aware that I wasn't supposed to be at this demonstration, that would be a way to get out of court. Or limiting the amount of people that could be at a demonstration, without filing with the police beforehand, or, extra limitations if you had a route that you were going to be marching or whatever. I think there's a lot of really nefarious things that authoritarian regimes, whether they be liberal in name or dictatorships like Belarus, that are making use of the public health issues.
Yeah, I kind of feel similar in the way where, like, when the pandemic happened under Donald Trump, they thought that nothing could be accomplished, but as soon as Joe Biden got elected, we are supposed to get back to normal. It's like that. Like, I know that, like, we're supposed to assume that Joe Biden is doing things in a more progressive and happier and friendly and welcoming way. But then when it translates to coronavirus, it's, oh, well, people started getting shots, so now we can go back to school at the end of the year, or we can risk it all for these really stupid situations. There's like new cases rising. They're not following science anymore. They're lying with those goddamn signs they put in their yard that say, I believe in science, because they don't. But yeah, I mean, we aren't there yet, but they're pushing the issue, and I only see my right-wing Instagram accounts that I follow talking about it.
Nobody talks about the Biden kids are back in school thing. Like, we're not even,
we do it. We complain about our kids in school.
I do. Yeah. I mean, mine's going back to school tomorrow, actually. And she showed me her Snap Map last week at one point. And a lot of those motherfuckers were in Florida together, hanging out. And they're going to come back to school tomorrow. All of them at the same time, in the same room, 3 feet away from each other. Granted, wearing masks. But some of them are not, from what my daughter is telling me, like, you can take your mask off to drink or eat, and she's like, people just leave them off after they take a drink, like, and have to be told to put them back on, and like, they eat in the school. But it's like, I would love to see some conversation about forcing kids back to school, because they are not really given a choice. I understand that I could sign my daughter up to do homeschool through the computer, but she has a track that she's on,
and it would take her completely off track. And so I really am left with no choice. And I hate that, like, I subscribe to the New York Times. Like, that is the most mainstream and supposedly the most liberal paper, and they don't fucking talk about, like, hey, maybe the reason cases are rising is because they forced kids back to school. And then on the other side of that, it's like
too early.
And on the other side of that, it's like, what is the difference between making the kids go to school and fucking doing concerts and stuff like that? I mean, if you're going to make the kids go to school, you're basically, what's the difference? Who cares? Just open it all up, I guess, if that's what you're going to do. Not that that's what I want to do.
Well, the children can't even, like, they're not okayed to get the vaccine. It hasn't been tested on and okayed for people under 16, I want to say.
Right, yeah. 18, you get 16. Only one of them's approved for 16-year-olds. So it's incredibly hard to get a 16-year-old vaccinated. I'm on that now, trying to get my daughter vaccinated.
Yeah,
and then there's also... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I have an 8-year-old kid, and the Atlantic article said, consider anybody under 16 like a vaccinated grandpa. Like, they're cool.
Yeah, they are fine. I think. I mean,
that's
they'll
Joe
live
Biden
through it.
That's Joe Biden liberalism.
Yeah, but I do want to say,
well, then there's the digital divide issue too. Like I live in a, like, y'all have been here. It's beautiful, but there's a lot of people that live rurally, and I've been to Columbus, and it's a beautiful city. Like, there's a lot of amazing people there. It's at least people are concentrated in this large metropolitan area and not up way in mountain hollers.
Yeah,
and I've talked to a lot of people who can't access internet. So the distance schooling, you know, without the infrastructure being there, those kids that live in a rural area are put at a disadvantage.
Absolutely.
So it's like, and federal funding for schools, like, one reason that truancy laws or truancy is pushed by school administrators is because if their kids don't go into class, they can risk losing federal funding. So the system is set up in this really patchwork, precarious way that leaves a lot of, like, this has really shown how strangely functional our society is and how many cracks there are for people to slip through.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're totally right about I would agree with you that, like, I do worry about the lockdown measures and stuff like that. I just don't, I'm not the type of person, I'm not going to panic yet, you know, because I do think that, like, if things get back together, back normal, that just the how hard it has been for the state to get the toothpaste back in the tube after ending the lockouts last year makes me think that it's lockdowns are always going to be a difficult prospect in the United States, you know?
Yeah.
But it would be nice. The thing about the lockdowns to me and all that is, like, it would be nice to think that if people could just wear masks and stay home to prevent 500,000 people from dying, like, it would be nice to think that we could pull together and do that. But
yeah, I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna put it in my diary or something.
Put that in my dream
my journals.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be nice to know that we could do
it would
that?
Be beautiful.
Like,
I mean, I wouldn't wake up frustrated every day of my life.
Absolutely, but I do like you know, thinking. I think it is important to think about this stuff. Like, I think it is important to think about, like, you know, giving the government this broad power to do stuff. I just think they've been ridiculously inept at doing it, you know?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hopefully we're going to be approaching some sort of herd immunity with all these vaccines, because it is, and to be fair, the Trump administration did roll out, like, an interesting, goofily named sci-fi program of getting funding and testing rolling really fast for the vaccines.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll actually get towards a herd immunity sooner rather than later, and things will be able to start feeling more normal.
We're there. We're on the precipice of it. It's just that people rushed it too early.
Yeah. Surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're just so excited about it, you know, and that like, now people think that
okay, so some people are getting vaccinated. I think it's safe for me to go out because people are vaccinated. I was like, well, that's not how it works, dude. You still got to get vaccinated. But
well, and people are still doing spring break anyway, like over the last year and a half, like year or so. You know,
I know.
Even though the vaccines just started rolling out, so
it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to like just hold. Like they could do spring break in August. Like let them do spring break in August. How about that?
Or, yeah, take a summer trip.
Yeah, do that. Fuck it. Give them a week off in August or September. I think things are going to be relatively normal by like September, October is how I feel. You know, I'm not 100% sure because I don't know anything. And also I trust the scientists. I trust Fauci and all those guys a lot less every day that goes by. Like I don't trust them as much. So I don't really, I don't feel like, I feel like that's the other thing is the information around this has been super hard to figure out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's muddled.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is a pretty unprecedented situation. The confluence of all these things coming together, but yeah, I think take them with a grain of salt for sure.
So what?
I mean, Fauci at first was saying that like don't wear masks, and then rolled that back when he realized that it was a mistake. You know, even though some Republicans weren't letting him forget that, but like, you know, we're all fumbling our way through this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just the flow of information has been difficult, I think, for sure. But I'll get a hold of you when I'm in Asheville since we'll be vaxxed, and we'll do a hang.
That'd be awesome. Go for a hike, go for a swim, maybe if the water's warm enough.
Yeah, eat on a patio or some shit. I don't know. It'll be great, though. It'll be great. Mm-hmm. Thanks for calling in, and everybody listen to the.
Of course.
What is it, Brett? The final straw.
Final straw.
I was gonna say the last straw, and then I'd have felt like a fool. But then I said, "What is it?" and then looked like a fool again.
Yeah. So real quick, I mean, go ahead and tell us what you do on the show. I know you cover. I listen to your show because you have really great information and theory and all of that. But what have you been covering recently, just to let people know what they can hear on Final Straw?
Sure, thanks a lot. So let's see. A couple of weeks ago, we got to talk to an anarchist from Ethiopia, or in Ethiopia, about the war in Tigray and about their perspectives and about the media blackouts. That was pretty interesting. I haven't heard a lot of information on the ground, especially from like an anti-authoritarian, anti-state perspective. She's affiliated with Horn Anarchists. They're on Twitter. Let's see. Last week we talked to a couple of anarchist legal workers, one with the National Lawyers Guild and one with Tucson Anti-Repression Crew, about the case of Steve Martinez. You may remember a young woman almost got her arm blown off in 2016 at the No DAPL protests by munitions that came from law enforcement one cold night when they were being sprayed down by water cannons. So this indigenous former oil field worker, Steve Martinez, decides to do a Good Samaritan thing and take her to the hospital. He gets called back to, which probably saved her life, saved her arm. So he got called to a grand jury. He refused to participate in it. They kind of let that go. But now, 4.5 years later, he's being called before a grand jury again. He's refusing to speak and he's being jailed for it. Let's see. This week, tomorrow morning, you'll be able to hear an interview that I just did with an incarcerated activist from Jailhouse Lawyers Speak about which is one of the groups that's called for the nationwide prison strikes in 2016 and 2018. And they're talking about a call for people to come out during Black August on August 21st and on September 9th this year to do demonstrations outside of ICE facilities, mental health facility or mental hospitals, juvenile facilities, prisons, jails, anywhere that the prison touches the outside world, to just raise awareness, have conversations about abolitionism.
Yeah.
And then we've got a conversation with an anarchist from India, Pranav, who's going to be talking about his organizing against the caste system and talking about the farmers movement in India. we've got a lot.
It's a lot. You're doing the work. It really is. It's great. I love the level of professionalism that you bring to it, and the seriousness and the stuff that you cover. Like I hear so many wonderful voices when I listen to your show. So I'm glad you're able to call in, and we'll catch up next time about something other than COVID.
Yeah, that sounds good. Hopefully there'll be a lot more to talk about that's not just COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, and congratulations, y'all. It's like, this is 10 years for you?
Yeah, we're at 10 years now.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, you do a great job. You have a great show.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Well, thanks a lot for having me on.
Yeah,
we'll see you. Peace.
Absolutely.
That was
All
the final straw.
It's breaky time.
This week for music, we've got songs from Body Fluid. Here's the letter. It says, "Happy belated birthday, Brian." So this was like January. Second, I wanted to send in music for you guys to play on the show. Our band is called Body Fluid. We're from LA and recorded this EP back in March, right when the shutdown began. Ignore the Joker-themed song titles. I think they were funnier back in March. It's not, you don't have to apologize for being Joker-fied.
I like Joker stuff, man.
You accept it.
I saw the Joker.
Accept it quicker than later. That you're We are. The Joker meant something to me.
I love the Joker movie.
Joker.
I saw it.
My life is Joker-fied in my heart.
It is.
I can't give it up. It was really cool that you guys had Riley from Power Trip on the show. Rest in peace, Maine. I briefly got to meet him at a music festival a couple years ago. He was super nice and cool. It was awesome to hear from him on Street Fight. Yeah, he was a super awesome, cool guy. I love everything you guys do in general, especially the undercover business tyrants. All the best, Joseph. P.S. I'm the Lobby account on Twitter. I_love_Enya_777. That sounds awesome.
Good name.
Yeah, it's like pumping iron for Enya, plus a winning slot machine roll. So this week, your music is Body Fluid. We're Street Fight. We'll be back after the break, and if you're in the queue, we'll get to you. We promise. There's only one person in the queue. It was 3.
Trying, going out,
Oh, we have 3 people in the queue now. We're back.
Hey, we're back.
Hey, welcome back to Street Fight Radio. I hope you enjoyed that music there that came to us from Body Fluid. Check out Body Fluid Music. Thanks for checking that in, Joseph. We appreciate it. If you got music you make and you want to have it played on the show, head to send an email to streetfightradio@gmail.com or message us on any of the other social media platforms. Thank you to everybody that called in so far. We've had a lot of good calls. Support those folks. And you ready to get to the calls?
Sure.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hi, my name is Marisol, and I'm from Washington State.
Hey, how's it going, Marisol?
It's okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime. What's going on tonight?
I guess I called in because I wanted to talk about my job and the craziness that's happened with it. I'm a welder, a structural steel welder. I do like the big shit, like making buildings and shit.
That's badass.
And
do you travel or just in town?
No, I just do it in town. I was at a shop, and I recently got fired. But I got electrocuted one day, and then the very next day they fired me.
Oh God, that's like they're like, oh no, this person is a problem now because they were succumbed to like occupational injury. Jeez. Like this is a dangerous job.
Well,
this person. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you're right. It's totally a dangerous job. I was actually on light duty technically because I fell off a ladder and herniated a disc, and I was on light duty. So they put me on like maintenance work, and maintenance had me cleaning up machines that they, I guess, they didn't turn the machines off. Therefore, I got electrocuted.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's
my fear was always like, I always had a fear of falling off a ladder, and also because where I worked, they were sort of the same way. Light duty meant either you're going home or you're fired.
You're on probation.
Yeah, they were like, we don't do light duty. And I think that's a lot of like blue collar type jobs. They'll say they don't do light duty.
Absolutely. Like this place, like I got injured in December and I herniated a disc there. And then they hired like a new HR woman in January. And this is a company that's like, we're family here, you know. Oof. We're family. We give second chances. We love people. It's like, so we hire felons and people that can't get jobs, and we'll pay them like the shittiest wages, even though you're like certified in these technical skills. But we're going to pay you practically minimum wage to almost die every day.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because it's like people are going to get injured on jobs like you have. It's not like that is out of the realm of possibility.
It says nothing about your character.
No, absolutely not. It's going to happen to everybody that works like that. Whether it's maybe you won't fall off a ladder or electrocute yourself or anything like that, but you might even just get a repetitive strain injury doing a job like that. Yeah, absolutely. I attribute a lot of my back pain to I just got back pain from working. You know, like it wasn't like I'm weak or I can't handle it or anything like that. It was just like, well, you know, I have to carry stuff every single day. Like heavy things have to get carried, and it's just going to happen.
Yeah, that was actually, and Jason isn't here to tell the story, but Jason was a mover for a long time, and he gave it up after, you know, dutifully showing up and moving thousands of pounds of stuff and working overtime. But his ankle hurt when he walked, and he was like called in to say, my ankle is not today, you know, like I can't do it. And from what I hear, he was just offended that they thought he was trying to take advantage of them. Like, he showed up with injuries all the time. He showed up when things weren't feeling bad. The only reason he said he shouldn't go to work is because that's how he felt at the time. You know, like that. It was a serious thing. It wasn't just to get away with anything. You're not pulling anything over on anyone, and that's the nature of the job.
And you know, they tell you that that's illegal to fire an injured worker. For some reason, I've heard that. I always believed that.
They said it, you know, I came into my firing hearing because I knew they're like, come in at 8 o'clock rather than my 4 a.m. start time. So I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to get fired.
Yep.
So I came in with like OSHA guidelines of why what I was doing was out of compliance with like OSHA. And they're like, it doesn't matter. We're still going to say that you're negligent on the job. So therefore you can't claim unemployment. But you're going to also have, you know, lifelong injuries from a herniated disc that I was like in PT for through LNI, and then I got electrocuted from like a 600-volt machine being on. And they're just like, you know what? Fuck you. We're gonna fire you right now because it's not Will State. We can just do it whenever.
Fuck. That sucks.
And it's like this company, like we had like these giant boxes on the floor that they were like, okay, we're going to fill them with 10,000 gallons worth of water, and we're just going to hope that it doesn't spring a leg right now because we've never done this kind of work before for the DOT. And, I mean, it's like this, you know, family-owned business that the son inherited the business and is trying to obviously make profits. Like, you know, you look at the job listings after I've lost the job there, and it's like they in the job listings they're like, we have donate Thursdays. We serve donuts, so we can pay you a shitty wage because you guys get donuts on Thursdays. So come work for us.
Yeah,
like
that's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say.
And then also,
every day.
I mean, there's so many situations where like somebody can start a business and have good relationships and keep the work going, and then they hand it off to some relative that doesn't know what they're doing. The only reason that they're in that position is because they're related to the person, and things change.
Absolutely.
And it becomes cost cutting measures, and there's no care for the people that make you your money.
It's incredible that we're building infrastructure, like bridges and dams, and they're like, you know what? It's okay. We're gonna pay you shit, and hope to God you guys don't die on the floor, and we're gonna just, you know, kick you out. And of course, you know, you can't unionize there and anything like that. So
I gotta say, like, the scummiest thing, I think the scummiest thing in the world is these businesses that fire you because they fire you and the reason is something that they have to brainstorm and like try to figure
100%.
out. Yeah, because you're like, what the fuck? You know, you can fire me. Like you can fire me for like if I stole some shit at the job or something like that. Like that's a reason to fire somebody. Hey, if I don't come in and don't call, that's a reason to fire somebody. I mean, although in my personal opinion, no call, no show, it should take more than one to get fired, which
sure
a lot of companies do only one. And you're like, but like, what about people who can't call because they're in the ER or something like that? But coming up with a reason to fire somebody should be like one of the things that like get your business taken away from you.
Definitely. You know, totally. I mean, they had to have brainstormed it, like you said. Like, I've been there for 2 years, and they're like, let me think of the way that we can really fuck her the most. It's not only COVID still happening, but let's, like, make sure she doesn't get unemployment.
Yeah.
So let's say she was negligent. It's like, can you see me as a human being and, like, understand that I'm a person that needs, you know,
food
to fucking make a living?
Yeah. I need food in
cold-blooded.
a house.
Yeah, it sounds like a board game where like you're just trying to defeat your enemy, but this person, like you showed up and did the work for them, and now you're suffering from it, and they don't want to take any sort of responsibility, and legally they don't, you know, they have all the protections in the world to not to.
Yeah, you're the one that doesn't have protections.
Absolutely, it's insane. I wish that unions were more prevalent and everything. I mean, if the shop was unionized, I wouldn't be in this position, obviously. So, go unions everywhere. Everyone should always join a union, whatever they can.
I think a lot of people would have expected. I think a lot of people would have expected that a welder would be in a union. I'm actually kind of surprised you weren't in a union.
I think it's because, like, with welding, you can be, like, a union for, like, pipe fitters or, like, boiler makers, like, for, like, specialized skills rather than just, like, structural in general. So, therefore, that structural in general doesn't have a union, but, like, if you're in a specialized welding skill, you can unionize or have a union, I guess.
Yeah. But
yeah, I totally agree that you should have a union for just welding.
But you're right. There's always going to be that level of folks that can scoop people up that can't find like one of those gigs, and they're willing.
Job.
Yeah, and they're willing to bid the lowest amount for a contract, so therefore they can keep it running. And they're just cycling through people. It's the same as a McDonald's where, theoretically, you could just do a McDonald's job. You could make it and have it be an easy thing to do. But the folks that are forced to do that job are under a significant amount of stress that makes it that you can't focus on just getting food out the window. The same, like, the when you don't have the protections and you can just weld, like, and they're also finding reasons to get rid of you as soon as you're, like, a liability, this is the work environment that you get. It's just extreme overturn.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I was on, light duty, so I was in an office for a bit, and I totally heard all of the, gossip about how the business I was with was constantly underbidding. So obviously the shop that I was underbidding everybody, so therefore they're going to be paying their workers so little. But then, I see them hiring frivolent people to do these job sets. Like, you can go out to your workers and ask them how to streamline things rather than paying these salaried employees these ridiculous $100,000+ salaries, and then you're paying the people actually fucking doing the shit on the floor $30,000 a year.
No, you're right, and that's a matter of ego too, where like I own a business. Oh, I have so much on my plate. I deserve to have an employee directly under me that takes care of all of my details because I'm that fucking important.
You also
that I don't have time to figure out the details.
You also like wonder what the like we've talked about this with CEOs, but the stuff on their plate is probably just nothing. It's like me. It's like I told Brett tonight. I was like, yeah, I'm off Monday and Tuesday this week. I just decided to take 2 days off, and I'm like, I'm really excited about it. I get 2 days off. I did work on Saturday this week, so I deserve 2 days, and that's just something that somebody that owns the business is like allowed to do. So when these people say they're super overworked, you're like, motherfucker, you don't have to be. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot be super overworked. You don't own the business, so you can work 7 days a week or whatever. Yeah. And I think that like they have convinced a lot of business owners have convinced people that they do work 7 days a week. Oh, the thing about owning a business is that I'm never off. And it's like, you're always off. You can be off anytime you want is the thing.
Oh, absolutely. Like, those business owners, they were going to fucking Mexico on vacation. Also, the entire office staff at the shop I was working, everybody in the office got COVID. 100% of them got COVID.
Wow, absolutely.
Nobody mandated masks, and everybody got COVID, and then they came back to work, and then they never implemented masks. Like, the entire 2 months after everybody came back, visitors would come in, and they would say no masks. And here in Washington State, where I am, we were in level 1 or for nothing was open. You couldn't go into restaurants or anything like that. Like, we're just now in phase 3, but 3 months ago, we were in phase 1, and that entire office, nobody wore masks 100% of the time. Everybody got COVID. And they were like, you know what? It's the liberal media saying that, COVID is bad because we just got COVID and it felt like a sniffle. So it's no problem to you guys on the floor.
God, that is a really tough situation too, because it sounds like you were working for like Trump conservative types and having
100%.
Yeah, so they do not give a shit about you. Like, you know, for a fact they don't give a shit about you.
Yeah, it seems like the whole business is like, whoever complains about a mask, we're going to find a reason that like they didn't clock in for breaks and we're going to fire him for that. Whoever has an injury on the job, we're just going to get rid of them. Like, if we think someone's the problem, we're going to exterminate that.
Oh, absolutely. They were 100% very open about how much they hate anybody that's not a Trump supporter. I mean, anytime you walk through the office setting, they were gung-ho Trump supporters. I mean, very blatantly, but also on the floor. I think that Washington State's pretty, liberal state in the sense. I mean, not leftist, so liberal enough, but I would say 98% of the folks on the floor, man, they are diehard Trump fans. It's like, oh, God. Not only am I working around men all the time, but they all love Donald fucking Trump.
I think and like, leftists aren't like really allowed to say this, and but like I think it's obvious a lot of like blue collar people are Trump people, and it's only because nobody on the left has ever talked to them. I don't think that they inherently, like, a lot of blue collar white people, I guess I should say, are Trump people.
Thank you.
And it's just because I think people haven't talked to them. I've always seen that as like as our job, even though we don't get to them. But people like me and Brett and leftists like us should be talking to them and explaining this stuff. But like, it's hard to get through to them. It is really hard to talk to them. And they are so annoying. Like that's another problem. Is like, I'm sure you could have probably had a politics conversation with some of the guys at work, but they're horrible and annoying.
They actually they called me Commie Cough on the floor. That was my nickname.
Yeah, I believe
because
Commie Cough.
Honestly, try to talk about. Yes, Commie Cough.
Jeez. I mean, it probably felt good to have a nickname.
COVID was a real thing. So.
I was gonna say, it's probably nice to have a commie nickname though. Like, you're like, oh, I'm really doing the right thing,
That's true.
I mean, it's so funny because communism would help those people almost. I mean,
immediately.
So much.
Immediately.
Yeah. Like, they have no idea how dumb they sound where you just want to be like, hey,
Well, yeah, and that's the thing about it too, is like with like white privilege, those are the type of people that say I came from nothing, but like your white privilege is that, you get to have this regular ass life, but you're getting paid nothing for it. You're getting mistreated for it. The only thing you get out of your white privilege is feeling better about people that aren't black.
Yeah.
And if the actual working class were to unite, like, we would have actual freedom. Like, we would not be having Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk types and those small business timers deciding what we do. Like, we would be in charge of it. But their white privilege, like, that's the thing that keeps us back.
Well, we've talked about we actually did YKS last night. We watched the movie No Safe Spaces by Adam Carolla and Dennis Prager, and they did give that white privilege speech.
No, and they missed it totally.
And you just want to say, like, well, when we say white privilege, we like mean like that the society totally bends to you. Like,
yeah, they were like, not every white person owned slaves, and you're like, but that's the privilege of being white. You weren't a slave. Yeah. Like, at least, like, that's what it is. That's the reason that, like, you were willing to let these rich landowners take fucking everything, is because at least you weren't going to be the slave.
It wasn't a risk, or that, like, you're not going to get shot. You probably won't get shot by the police.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have a far lesser chance of getting shot by the police if you're white, or like, again, like, you're seen as the default. I think that's the thing that I wish they could understand, is that white and male and Christian in the United States
is seen as the default. I'm sure you ran into a lot of that on the job site where it was like you weren't like the default type of person. They didn't expect you to be there. You know what I mean? Sorry.
Did we lose them?
I think we might have lost her.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing.
No, that's nailing down right to it. Is that, and that's what the thing is like. It's not because she's a woman. It's just that she got injured. It's like, but she got fucking injured doing our job, dude. Like, don't we have some sort of camaraderie here? Like, if someone gets injured doing our job, why don't we take care of those people?
It's one of those things where you're just like,
she's back.
I want to explain the white privilege thing to people, you know, but they're impossible to talk to.
Sure.
A lot of times. Like, just, if I sat down across from Adam Carolla and tried to explain that to him, he would just be like, you know?
It was tough for me.
Yeah. It was tough for me too, dude. I know.
Hey, are you back?
Oh, yes, I am. And, I'm actually a person as well as a female, like, in the industry, so, like, double the amount of bullshit I get from these people, right?
Right.
Not only do I not get to be able to, like, say white privilege, right? But, like, I'm brown, so...
Right. And they
more hate.
No, I just a lot of jokes. I'm sure you heard a lot of jokes because when I was working as a roofer, when I was working at the cable company, even when I was working at the golf course, like, I'm a white guy, so people felt very comfortable telling me jokes, and like I can relay stories all day about racist or sexist things that people said to me.
Yeah, and it was very easy for me to radicalize because I was thinking about all the places I've worked at. It's like only the black people and the Latino people were the ones that became problems. Those are the ones that were like couldn't fit in with what we were doing. Like those are the ones that they constantly found a reason to fire.
Of course. I mean, I would think we would be setting a quota for them so they get some more tax breaks, but come on, right?
I don't know that one.
You got it's got to be tough. Like it's got to be tough. Like hearing these guys talk about how women and minorities get everything, and then you having to be like, I got like fired, and like because I got injured, and like. I don't know. It's going to be harder for me to get a job. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it is absolutely. I worked at a corporate cable company that had a lot of employees, and in the section that I worked in, the installations and service technicians, there was one woman that worked there in the 7 years that I worked there. So it's even like a thing where it's like even just. Like if you want to work in welding or something like that, it's going to be harder to get a job as a woman. I can't imagine that Mary was the only woman that ever applied for an installation job at that company in 7 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sure. I mean, there was actually the owner's wife said she had a point to hire female welders, surprisingly. So we had 3 women on our shop floor. But whenever one of us tried to move up from that position, I mean, it's not very much moving up, but perhaps like an inspection role of some sort, or what was called like, I guess how we would say like putting. Like reading the prints to putting them together rather than just welding them. None of us women were ever allowed to progress in that manner. Like even the foreman's wife friend worked there, and she never made it past a welder position. She was never a fitter. She was never a quality control person, and she had more experience than nearly every man on the floor. And
right.
She was always in just a welding position. She never was able to move up the ranks. And, you know, I understand that it's blue-collar work is primarily male influence, but I mean, it's 2021. Come on now.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I agree. like for my values, it's not that I don't think that women can't do that. I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's like, oh, not enough women are welders. They're just locked out. The culture, the people that are doing it, there's no openness. It's glaringly obvious. And still we respect people's opinions that say like, no, it's not that, you know, the world isn't like that at all.
Right. Like a Mike Rowe would say.
Right.
That like, well, there's
guys want to do it,
or women don't want to do it.
Yeah.
That he would say that women don't want to do these jobs. They're just too lazy to do these or something. And it's like, no, it's because you make it as hard as possible, you know?
Yes. Actually, one of the new HR persons they hired while I was there, while I was injured, I had to talk to her, you know, and she told me, she's like, I can imagine as a woman, it's just too hard to do these jobs. And I said, obviously it's not, because this is what I chose to be my profession. I went to school for this. I have my certifications in this. Like, obviously it's not too hard. She's like, well, I as a woman, and I'm like, okay, you as a person don't want to do this, but me as a person, regardless of my genitals, can fucking do this.
That's extreme. That's so discouraging, because you would expect someone to be like, these fucking guys are going to screw with you any chance that you would expect an ally. Like I would expect a woman to say like, I would understand the lived experiences that these dudes are going to fuck with you hardcore.
Exactly. Like, I was hoping, like you said, for an ally, and this woman was just one of those women that puts other women down. It's like, you are in this industry, and you have been in this industry for 20 plus years, and you're not building another female up when they're coming to you asking for, you know, a promotion of sorts or cross promotion, trying to get into a different piece of the industry, you know, rather than just the entry level. And like, well, me, I don't feel like women can do this. It's like, come on, girl, we're both in it together. Come on, help each other.
And it's not a matter of I think I should be the manager. It's a matter of saying like, I've done good enough work that I should be the inspector, or I should be the next level up. Like, why am I not being considered for these things? You know,
just give me a chance is the thing. I saw so many other men that have less experience than me were given the chance, and I was never given the chance. Like, men that came in here with 2 months experience were given chances that I didn't have at 2 years experience.
That is, somebody in Washington is saying that they're a part-time coffee technician, and they want to help you learn coffee repair if you're interested. And there's a lot of work around Washington, so we could try to connect you with them if you need a job.
I do need a job, and I would love to connect with them.
Okay, let us. We'll work this out. I will.
Okay.
Brett, can we? I got to figure out how
coral colored red sunshine. Reach out to me. Caller, reach out to me, and then I'll connect your information.
Yeah, are you on Twitter or Instagram?
Street Fight Radio, or Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Any of those are fine.
I can make one. I sure can.
Yeah, just send Brett the stuff, and then we'll connect you two together and see if we can't get this to work out. That would be really great. Hey, I would like to learn how to fix coffee machines, so that's something.
You know what? Just something to say that like this resonates in me with my daughter, because she's very funny, and I don't think she's good at school, and I feel like men have a lot more support and culturally can get away with becoming like a fuckboy comedian, or like just blowing things off to pursue their art in a way that a lot of women don't get. And you know, with our show, we try to work with women comedians, but we're not going to have somebody that is trash. But I also understand that like women aren't offered the same option to go full force into a lot of these careers. They're very much dominated by men, and welding is one of those as well, where you're shut out of it. And I'm glad you called, and thank you for sharing your story, and I hope we can help you make something better. But I totally hear what you're saying, and the listeners are going to love that you called in.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, I admire any welder. So
My dad's a
admire
welder.
what you do. Yeah. Your dad's a welder?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought he was a concrete man.
He laid brick and welded.
Damn. Welder is like one of those jobs that you're like, when you're in high school and you're a dude, they'll be like, you should be a welder, dude. They make like $17.50 an hour. I'm always hearing that.
I fucking wish $17.50 an hour. Shit.
I wanted to do the underwater welding where you get paid by the inch.
Oh God, yeah, that's some serious stuff right there.
Yeah. That's like the
elite
like
level.
We're trying to get her a job as a welder.
Right.
Not like the hardest job in the world as a welder. Like, oh, what about welding under the Bering Strait?
I think she can do it.
I do too. I think anybody can. That's the fucking thing I just want to say is like, I don't think that there are blue collar jobs that women can't do. I have seen them do it.
But the culture and the atmosphere and our opinions about those things affect the workplace every single day. It's like a woman tried when I remember when I did donuts. They were like, we tried to hire a woman and she couldn't lift the dough and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's not all women though. That was just one. Like there's a bunch of weak ass guys I know that I could come bring over here and they could not pick up the goddamn dough.
I could grab 15 people out of one of our live show, 15 dudes out of one of our live show audience that couldn't lift the dough.
Couldn't lift the dough.
Well, thanks for calling, and we will connect you. I'm hoping it works out.
All right, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. I love your show.
Thank you for calling. Have a good night. There we go.
You as well. Bye.
There we go. That feels good. That's a mutual aid. Helping somebody get a jobby job.
Yeah, we've done a couple of those.
Fixing coffee machines is rad, though. Like at the coffee shop, I think. Fixing those? That's a machine. Fixing machines is cool, no matter what kind of machine it is.
I'll give you that.
I am not looking down my nose at any machine fixer.
Welding, though.
Welding's rad.
Laying down a tight bead.
I know, man. I'm telling you, for real. Like, when I was in high school, they would call dudes like me into the office and say, like, have you considered welding?
What was it called? What was the one when you didn't go to school for
vocational school?
Vocational, yeah.
Yeah, they tried to get me in They tried so hard to get me in vocational school.
Should have went.
Check it out. They tried really hard, and even I went to my dad and I said, they're trying to get me in vocational school. You know what I mean? And he was like, that's for the dumb kids. You're not allowed to go to vocational school.
So stupid. Such an awful parent move.
I know. And I was like, I'm not too smart, actually.
Yeah, if the vocational school was coming after my kid, I would say, hey, learn electricity work. Learn how to do electrician stuff, because people are fucking deathly afraid of that. And you can get $40 an hour for doing electrician shit.
Yeah, my dad did that, obviously a lot. There was a few times where I had opportunities that he said, no, that's for the bad, dumb kids. And it's like, Dad,
I'm a bad, dumb kid.
I'm a fucking bad, dumb kid. And here's the thing. If you think I'm super smart, like if you think I'm like this secret genius in my brain, I'm still not going to apply myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I'll let you down.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a super smart guy, but you have to deal in the reality that I'm not going to do anything,
No, the same thing happened to me. I toured the vocational school and I saw the electrician stuff, how they were like, they laid out this board and they had the wires going back and forth. I was like, I'm really interested in that. And they were like, but you could take AP classes. You did really good on this test. And it was like, but I don't like that stuff. Like I only do calculus because you said I had to.
That's so fun. Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny. Like that, like Mike Rowe really does think that people just don't want those jobs. And it's like, dude, if you want one of those jobs, a lot of times your parents,
they're picky.
Teachers and guidance counselors will steer you right away from.
Yeah.
It happened to me, dude.
Yeah.
Like I am living proof that like every chance I ever had to get a well-paying job was stopped in its tracks by my parents.
It wasn't well paying enough.
No, it needed to be like some computer shit or something basically STEM. My parents wanted me doing STEM, and like they thought that I was smart enough to do STEM, and I just wanted to be like, dude, my brain doesn't even work that way. Like if you were trying to steer me towards what I'm good at and what I'm smart at, you would have steered me towards writing because I'm good at that and I know how to do that, and I'm like, that's my aptitude. I have an aptitude for that.
Yeah.
But they were like, you can't get a job doing that.
Yeah, that was the poison of all of the parenting back then is the go to college, do STEM stuff, don't complain.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
And it was stupid. So.
All right. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Oh, I was about to type a comment. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's up?
All right. I have a new headset, so I ask, You
sound great.
It's Robert. It's Robert from Columbus, Echo.
What's up, Echo in the chat. I'm watching the chat tonight.
Yeah. It's funny. Like sometimes I forget I'm on the queue and I get relaxed, and I remember I'm like, oh no, I'm nervous now. Oh no.
Nah, you don't got to be nervous. I was watching your chat. You got a lot to offer.
Yeah. So I want to do one thing and then talk about women's health issues or homelessness, whichever one you guys want to do.
I mean, probably homelessness.
You pick.
Okay, that was my first thought was homelessness, and then I remembered how pissed off I am about women's health.
Yeah,
but we could do homelessness.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
One funny thing. I'm sure you guys know Drill on Twitter.
Yeah,
you run in circles.
I was really high this morning at 6 a.m. and I was going through and like I really was feeling Drill because he's so philosophical, but he's like super absurd, right? It's very interesting. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it'd be funny if you turn Drill tweets into poems.
Yeah, he does. I think he wrote a book. He did a book.
I know he did. But I'm riffing on him though. It's fun. So the famous one is the wise man bowed his head solemnly and spoke. There's actually zero difference between good and bad things, you imbecile. You fucking moron. Right? We all know that one.
Yeah.
So my take is, I surmise, perhaps, what it is you are saying to me, oh, noble wise one, is that underneath good, underneath evil, it is all the same. Is this perhaps a joke upon me? And you declare yourself the wise one? You fucking moron.
You need to write some code for like a Drill translator bot.
Yeah, you gotta do one of those.
Yeah, you
bots.
could. Yeah, okay. So in the chat, we were talking about man on the street segments. Can you hear me so good?
Yeah. I can hear you. Yeah,
you're there.
Okay. My stream is chunking up, so I should just not watch the stream.
Just talk to us.
Yeah, so, we're right here.
Yeah. So in the chat, we were talking about like man on the street things. And like a month and a half ago, I thought I was going to be instantly rich. Turns out it's taking a little longer. It's fine. It's whatever. And one of my ideas was like, because like when the GameStop thing happened, everybody was doing like little acts of charity and they were giving away Nintendo Switches. And I was like, that's sweet, but like you could do better with the money. And so I started envisioning it. And my original thought was the envelope club, where I would just put $100 bills or 100, whatever, put money in an envelope, go around, hand them out, right? And then I started thinking about the idea and about why people don't like homeless people, right? It's because of fear. It's because people don't see a human being when they see somebody asking for money. They see their own fear of being homeless. That's why you have to mentally disconnect yourself when you see someone experiencing homelessness.
Yeah.
Is because you're not seeing a human. You're seeing like your own emotions.
I disagree.
Right? You're putting yourself in their position.
I guess if you want to put that blame on other people, but no. I currently the stop by my house, there is somebody asking for money on every single corner, and it makes me cry. It's made me like spontaneously weep on multiple occasions. 161 and 71 is an exit that like I just wish would disappear.
Dude, I saw a homeless guy today, and I didn't have any money to give him, but I had like 2 energy drinks. I stopped. I was like, "Do you want an energy drink?" I gave it to him. I feel that way too now.
That's not a gift.
I'm saying it's not.
That's like you're gonna say. I hope you get kidney stones if you get somebody a fucking energy drink.
Oh, come on! People love energy drinks, Brett.
But I wanted to give him something. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
That's great.
I've identified this feeling in myself because I have in the past felt that way, where I didn't want to look at the person. It's because I identified it because I think about psychology a lot. It's because like I was afraid, right? And so my man on the street segment I was thinking of is just, go do man on the street and just talk to homeless people. Just go hang out, give them money, give them food, hang out, talk a little bit, and then put it on the internet. And it
you don't
humanizes
need to do
them.
that though.
Like they're not. Why not?
Because there's no reason to make it like a segment or to make it content. Like I talk to people and I don't say anything about it. Like Jesus Christ said, the left hand don't know what the right one does. Like you don't need to tell nobody that you're helping people out. You shouldn't actually. It looks bad.
No. I've thought about this and like I was gonna like not have it be that way. I don't want it to be exploitative. I want it to be awareness building because I feel like because my ex-wife has been homeless basically for the last year and she has an incredibly difficult time because without a home address you can't even like apply for a job.
Yeah.
And she's been stonewalled so many times. And I have another friend who has been homeless for a long period of time. Now she's in a Section 8 house, but she can't leave because she has special needs children, so she's stuck there. And then people are mad at her that she can't go work, but she's stuck in a box because she was homeless at one point and she managed to get off the street, but now she's like even more trapped in her home and it sucks. And it's because this country treats, homelessness so badly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are good stories.
Yeah,
yes.
For many like societal and capitalist reasons,
But
it's because people.
You sounded like you were want to do a TikTok where you hand people a monster and like try to get likes.
No, dude, no. Divorce it from any content mill. You, Brett, if you went and did this, would you consider it a piece of content, or you think you're like helping build awareness?
I mean, yeah, I think that I don't know if I would
it's
do
not
it
a perfect idea
for publicity. I would just do it on my own time.
I don't think we would put it on a feed. But I think Brett would absolutely.
The problem is other people. We know. You and I know. Other people don't know.
Somebody in the chat said there are already some great podcasts out there created by unhoused people.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Hey,
there needs to be more.
I'm not criticizing you. I say go do it. Have a conversation with somebody. Yeah, I'm into it. Hey,
I mean, I have like
conversations-
unfilmed conversations all the time with them. I talk to every homeless person I meet.
Having conversations with the most amount of people is the way that things are going to get better. We all just got to talk to each other. That's how I feel.
I fully agree.
So I'm with you, buddy. You go talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if I would do a podcast, but I would absolutely think it's okay to talk to people.
I'm trying to find the line,
Sure.
Because I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm trying to like help people like my ex and like my friend.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, that's good.
I've been fortunate enough to never be on the street, but I know so many people who have.
Actually, in the chat, they said "We the Unhoused" is a great start for people to listen to. That is a podcast,
and I'm glad that they're telling it. But it's just our little circle. Outside of our circle, people don't know that, and people need to.
True. I would love to.
It's
build
kind
awareness.
of the trap that like the podcast sphere falls into. It's like you don't want to like judge people outside of it for being too stupid, but they do need like a nudge.
Sure, people need to hear things. It's hard to get people to consume content, though. I can tell you that getting people to look at a TikTok or read a book or listen to a podcast is maybe one of the hardest things. That I mean, I've done some pretty hard jobs, but getting people to listen to a podcast, even people that like me, is very hard to do.
That's that's kind of what I like about the TikTok format is you can say a lot in 60 seconds and people can watch 60 seconds very rapidly. But,
Yeah,
that's just me.
absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for calling in.
And I
it's
don't
good
want,
to hear
I
from
was
you.
gonna say I don't want to take up all your time. I know there's somebody else.
Sure. All right. Have a good night, Echo.
Appreciate it.
Robbie, right?
All right.
Robbie.
No, it's Roberts, man. Don't
Roberts.
Robbie me, man.
Oh, Robbie's a good name though, but I get it, Robert.
No,
Thanks
it's
for
not.
calling in, buddy.
I know scumbag Robbies. I'm not a Robbie.
I know, but I'm a scumbag, so I always identify with other scumbags. But thanks for calling in, Robert. Have a good
Please
night.
don't Robbie me.
Don't call me.
That's not the way I like to be treated. Please don't Robbie me.
My nephew was named Hugh. He was born, his name was Hugh.
Well,
and everybody was like, bro, we gotta call this kid Huey because Hugh nobody's named Hugh. I'd never heard of nobody named Hugh, right?
Yeah.
And his stepdad get right in my shit and said, I don't like nicknames. And never called him that again. I'm trying to make the kid popular or something.
Yeah, you were trying to give him
a name that
charm.
works. Something that works, something you can do something with. I can work with Huey, but I can't work with, now there are Hughs.
No, there's not.
There's Hughs
I've never met a fucking Hugh.
Hugh Grant?
Never met him.
I understand that, but he exists.
But he wasn't good enough to inspire people to name their kid a horrible name like fucking Hugh.
I'm looking up famous.
There's no Hughes.
Famous Hughes.
No, regular ass Hughes.
Well, how you
what
gonna
about?
find a
I've never
regular
even worked with a Hugh. I don't think
Me neither.
I never even called a delinquent Hugh. When I did collections, there was never a fucking Hugh on the other line.
It's
It's
funny.
not a real name.
It's funny because, like I
It's
said,
like a
I'm trying
puff
to
of
help
air.
this kid.
It's wispy.
Yeah, I'm trying to help this kid, and I have never.
Well, I have something more directly related, which is that I had a cousin Bobby and Robbie, and they were brothers.
Bobby and Robbie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ronnie's a good name. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm just going to throw this out here real quick.
Robbies aren't bad.
So I have the famous ones, I have the top 12 Hughs, and they are in order.
Who cares?
Okay, whatever then. We got another call?
What does that have to say about regular? Have you ever worked with someone? I have
a nephew. All right, I have a cousin named Hugh.
Okay.
That's the only one.
Huge ass or something?
No, Hugh. I can't remember his middle name. Probably something like Norbert or something like that, I don't know why they named him that. I tried to change it.
It's not a real name.
I tried to change. What is a real name? I see 12 famous Hughs right now. One of them not that famous. He's a dancer.
Who?
And another one, Hugh Apparente. But the top five, I've heard of the top five. Now, once you get past those top five, I don't know any of these guys. But yeah, just a little thing about me. I have a Hugh in my family. Sister named Ruth.
Yeah, you were born upper middle class. You're privileged. That's why you know fucking Hughes.
These motherfuckers.
You were never related to a Robbie.
First of all, I was born probably solidly middle class, but
You had a pool.
I did have an above ground pool. Yes.
Was your cable cut off? You have food
didn't
stamps?
have cable the whole time growing up. Didn't have food stamps. I will agree with that. But this particular cousin, rural. I think they do have money, but you wouldn't know because they're like people that don't have a TV.
Like they're smart enough to not need a TV.
Dude, they don't have a TV.
Big money.
And here's another side of this. They got a motherfucking pipe organ in their house. Like the whole ass pipe organ. Now it wasn't, they didn't get it. They didn't buy it. They got it from a church that they were churching at. But yeah, they got a whole ass pipe organ in their house.
Pretty impressive.
Fucking dude, it is. They
it's
also
huge. It's huge.
You know what they did that's badass? I'll tell you a little story about them that's pretty badass. They live out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Verizon came to them. And they're like, we will give you a lot of money if you let us build a cell phone tower on your property. The motherfuckers turned it down. Not only did they turn it down, but then they tried to go next door and they talked to people next door into turning it down too. They're very anti-technology. Like, they're very much like, they don't have cell phones. They didn't have the internet.
It's a bad idea.
And with the kids, I'm sure the kids are, I haven't seen them in decades.
They're freak-offs. The kids are absolutely fucking freaks.
I agree.
If they haven't seen outside society and haven't learned any dances from TikTok, they're fucking freaks.
Right.
They're wolf children.
Yeah, they would they read a lot. Like, they had a lot of books.
It's not good. It's not good for people. You don't get along with people by reading books. You don't get along in society. There's no community if you're just burying your nose in a book.
Right? How do you go to school and then everybody's talking about The Simpsons or something? You know what I mean? And you don't know about The Simpsons. Maybe that's just me because I'm a fucking weird guy and I was always concerned with what everybody was talking about. I always want to know what the thing is. You know, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm going to watch that the day it comes out so that I know what everybody's saying. But they didn't have that ability.
We're talking too much. We got to jump in.
Okay. Well, let's take this last call.
There's two to go. No, we got to jump in.
All right. Let's do it.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hello, this is Michaela from Dayton.
What's up, Michaela? How's it going?
It's going. I'm actually Comrade Mick on TikTok. So
yeah, I was going to say Michaela from TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Michaela, you made a video about Icy Jake, our one of our favorite rappers, and also our audio engineer for Street Fight Radio.
Yeah.
So
I did do that.
So you are a fellow Ohio radical, which I appreciate, and I was wondering how you found out about what happened to Jake.
It's interesting actually. When I got really involved into leftist ideas, I wanted to be able to explain it to my friends and family in a way that I wouldn't bore them. And the best way I knew how to do that was with music. So I started making a leftist playlist, and most of the people I know like rap music. So I was trying to find a leftist rap music that's still relevant today and, more leftist than just vague mentions. And Ice Jake came up in my Spotify recommendations after I was listening to a lot of Bamboo. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yep.
So anyway, I found him on Spotify. I listened to the whole album through, and I the second time through I realized it was obviously a story, he was telling a story. And I Googled him, realized he was from Ohio, thought that was crazy, and then just the whole story was really fascinating to me, and I felt like more people needed to hear about it because it's kind of actually insane. So
yeah, that's cool as hell. It's a shitty story too, a real fucked up one.
It's a horrible story. Yeah, I actually kind of resonate with it a little bit. When I was in middle school, it's kind of crazy. I went to school with a prescription strength Aleve, and I got charged with 2 felonies and kicked out of my school district. And the state picked up the charges and tried to charge me, a 12-year-old, as an adult. So, yeah, that was really fun. So it resonated a little bit, just an absolutely absurd charge that fucking throws you like a tailspin. So.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
A prescription strength Aleve. Did they end up dropping it? What? How did it play out?
So, they kicked me completely out of the school district. And at the time I was living in San Antonio, Texas. And one thing about that area is a school district can be up to 50 miles. You can't take a bus to the next school district. I was just fucked. I had to be homeschooled. So essentially what happened is a year after I got kicked out of school, to the date, the state of Texas called my mom and they told her that they were picking up the charges and charging me as an adult and she should get an attorney. And so we actually sold property that was left to my mother after her father died to pay for my attorney. It was $10,000 for them to basically they're trying to scare me. They used me as a pawn basically to scare other kids to not bring fucking, Aleve to school apparently. So yeah.
Fuck,
yeah, that's
nuts.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I was going to ask I was interested that you found Jake and everything, and I was wondering, you know, what led to your radicalization, but that lays it out right there.
Yeah, that's kind of like the brink of it. I just grew up really poor, and I grew up with really young people around me. My mom was really young when she had me, and she worked her ass off, 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week. So it was really easy to like hate capitalism without knowing what capitalism was. But when I was able to identify that, that's kind of what radicalized me, obviously. So
it's wild. Jake kind of grew up like that too, though. I mean, it's wild that he resonated with you so much because Jake's my cousin. So,
oh wow,
I like know his parents and stuff like that.
So do I.
Great people. Actually, the only reason I graduated high school was because of Jake's mom.
Oh wow.
I had to go to summer school after my senior year to get a math credit, and my parents wouldn't pay for it. So she went and got a payday advance and paid for me to go to summer school. So.
Oh, that's capitalism, baby. Have to pay to go to summer school. What shit is that?
Yeah, it's like $111, and my parents are like, "We just don't have it." I was like, "Okay, motherfucker, we have a pool."
We have cable. We've never been on EBT.
Yeah. I mean, my parents love to say we don't have it. It was their favorite thing in the world to say.
Well, yeah, but I'm glad to hear that because that, you know, I feel a similar way that like I just know this wasn't fair from jump, but it took me a long time to get there. When I was younger, I wanted to believe there was another way to do things and all of that, but I was ignoring all of the signs around me. So I thought it was interesting to see your TikTok account, and I'm glad you called in.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, and that's it. Thank you, and
thanks for calling.
You guys have a great night.
Yeah, have a good night.
Bye.
Well, that's crazy. That's so cool.
Well, Michaela, tell us where we can follow along with what you're doing on TikTok.
Oh, okay. It is just at Comrade Mick, MCK.
Nice. I gotta get TikTok now. You made me want to get TikTok.
What are you doing? You have to.
I'm old.
Yeah.
To be relevant.
Yeah, I didn't want to let you go. I did want to needle you a little bit about like
No, please.
Like what are your, because you know, we had the compulsion to start our podcast 10 years ago and start what we do because it felt like everyone around us wasn't acknowledging things. So I thought it was interesting that you said you wanted to do this in a way that was that other people could understand. Like you wanted to create explainers for people around you.
Yeah, pretty much. And like so far, I feel like I've done that to like an okay extent, but not necessarily on the platforms that I've wanted to, because 60 seconds is really not a lot of time, especially to analyze music. So like stuffing all that information in and then also stuffing in the music clips is I can hardly even. So it's nice in the sense that I can grasp people's attention for literally 60 seconds and like implement seeds of leftist ideas. But personally, like what I would like to do the most would kind of be like a podcast. It's really, I've found it kind of upsetting because the more I think about it, if I would have just had like one like leftist in my life who wouldn't have treated me like I was like lesser than them because I was a liberal at the time, I would have radicalized a lot faster. And so I just think a lot of like academia jargon gets in the way of radicalizing people. And ultimately, like the goal should be solidarity of like the working class people, not who's smarter, who's read the most theory, whatever. And so my goal is to get away from that because while it is important, the most important thing is mutual aid and praxis and all that. So.
Yeah, you know what? I would say my advice to you is that like you 60 seconds is like a really great parameter, and you've really done a good job of breaking things down in 60-second chunks. Don't be too impatient. Don't expect things to like be bigger than you can handle. But like now that you have this 60-second breakdown, you know, if you have that hunger for the longer format, I think that like you're ready to do it. You've done the practice and you should keep working towards it. But it'll come. It just takes time.
Yeah, it does. I definitely agree with that. I've got to slowly get myself into that because it's kind of like performing, and 60 seconds of performing even is kind of draining. So
Trust me, I know.
yeah, props to you guys. Seriously, it's really hard to like consistently keep up with like entertaining people for a period of time. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's surprising until you're on the other side of it. You know, you don't want to complain, but like after you've tried to hold someone's attention for like an hour, it's just like that was tough. That was actually tough. I'm not going to say that was fun for me just because it seemed like I was the center of attention. That was a lot to deal with.
I've streamed on Twitch a few times, and every time I've done that after it, I'm like, oh God, I need like a nap and like to not talk to anybody for a few hours. It's like way too much.
I said
it really is work.
I said this to Brett a couple weeks ago, or like a few months ago. I brought my wife with me to do the podcast, and she knocked some back while she was here hanging out, and then we got in a car to drive home, and she wanted to have a conversation, and I was like, no, like after the podcast I don't talk to anybody. I silently sit in the car and listen to somebody else talk or something, you know.
Oh yeah,
this Colin show is like, I'm so glad when I get home she's going to sleep, because I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah, well, I'll say with the Colin show, that is very brave. That is a brave stance to take, because you don't know who's going to call in. So.
It's fun.
It took a couple years.
Yeah, it took us a while, but it's fun. So have a good night. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, and your comrade MCK on TikTok. The people want to know.
Correct. Yes, that is me, Comrade MCK. Thank you.
Comrade MCK on TikTok. Thanks for calling in, and I'll send you a message, and we'll get together as people get vaccines and everything. I'd love to have you as guest on one of our live shows at some point in Ohio.
Absolutely, I would love to do that. So
it's Ohio against the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll set that up.
Oh yeah. All right, let's do it. All right, thanks guys.
Have a good night.
All right, bye.
I'm glad she called.
Yeah, me too. I didn't even know somebody wrote a book about Jake.
Not wrote a book.
Oh.
She made a TikTok.
Made a TikTok about Jake.
Yeah, I was going through TikTok. I follow my hashtags, like my radical hashtags. And then, actually it was my dude sent it to me. Youngin8 sent it.
Yeah.
He was like, check out this TikTok. I saw Jake. And then it was her explaining Jake's whole case and doing samples of his music in like 60 seconds. It was unreal.
That's great.
To find that other people found it. She's Comrade MCK on TikTok.
Sweet.
Very good. So I reached out to her and had her call in.
Nice.
Thanks for waiting.
No problemos.
Last
John
call.
Stamos. All right, let's do it.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, it's Hank in Los Angeles.
What's up, Hank? How's it going?
Hey guys, I called.
The whole world calls me Hank.
I'm sorry. What was that, Hank?
That happens every time someone learns my name. I'm totally used to that.
That's great.
I called.
No
a
one
few
does that
weeks
for
ago.
me.
I was the guy who was from the Young Turks Union. I called for the podcast Pep Talk.
Oh
as
yeah.
Well.
Yes.
3 or 4 weeks ago. So I'm kind of the perfect call to follow up the young woman who was just on. Man, she really hit the nail on the head with like how there's a generational divide between like I'm old too, like Brian. I'm 41, you know. So I've been doing like content production, to use a phrase I can't hate saying content, but you know, for a long time. And the idea of getting on TikTok and getting used to TikTok and doing 60-second videos terrifies me. I've done 12-hour podcasts. I've done lately I've been doing a lot of Twitch streaming and doing many. I can talk for a long time, you could probably tell.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's funny how the generations kind of need. It's nice of her to kind of guide us old men into making better decisions about TikTok and the newer stuff. It still feels really intimidating, but yeah.
I talked to Drew Toothpaste also. Like he started doing online comedy and online community stuff like in their 2000s. Like instead of fucking around and like wasting time at school or like getting a drug addiction or just doing other things and then reawakening at 30, like ever since he's been 20 years old, he's just been making comics and music and jokes and all of those things, and he's like made it happen. And he's older and someone that like I look up to, and I love his opinion on things. But at the same time, then you look at the younger people coming up, and then you have to compare your journey to theirs, and it's not the same. But I'm also,
right.
You know, she's very good at what she does. Like there's a lot of young people that are doing horrible, dumbass TikToks, but she has like identified what she's good at, 60-second explainers, and has made it like a really good and engaging content.
I'm definitely gonna check her out tonight. I haven't caught her yet, but yeah, like I've been thinking about doing like Photoshop 60-second or like kind of like Premiere Pro little tutorials for TikTok or something. But I'm just like, there's no way I can be as good as some of these people are. And I'm a video editor. I could probably figure it all out and make it work. But I feel like I'll probably put in like 16 hours of work just for that first one, and it just seems like too much for me right now.
Yeah, I don't understand photos and video.
Yeah.
I'm bad at understanding photos and videos, so that's the thing with me. I can't make them.
The best advice that I can say is that if your critique of yourself is like insecurity or like I'm not good enough or I can't do this, you're wrong. Like there's no reason to have those thoughts. I mean, most of the platform is folks just. It's the same thing as Twitter. It's people that record themselves telling a story for 16 seconds and just fire it off. You don't have to put too much time into it. If you want to and it's fun, you should. But I remember having this conversation a year ago with people that are like, what do you mean we're 30? We shouldn't be on TikTok. And I'm like, you're a moron. Because Facebook started for college people, and you've made up an arbitrary rule of like why you shouldn't express yourself on this platform, which is not dictated by anybody. Young people won't kick you off. You can't get your fucking account banned because you are 30. They don't have to do a birthday check. I see plenty of fucking 40, 50. I follow 80-year-old people on TikTok that are doing amazing fucking content that it's way better than anything I see on network TV. So, yeah, there's no reason to convince yourself not to do something you want to do or you think would be fun.
Those barriers are hard to get over for a lot of us, you know.
Yeah.
Like the gumption it takes to leap forward. Don't worry about the mistakes. You're gonna fuck up all the time. You know, I kind of understand all that stuff intellectually, but you know, I've been in this sort of game chasing stuff. No one's ever heard of me or anything. But like, this is sort of what I was talking about when I called before, when I brought up burnout in relation to podcasting. Because it's just sort of like I have a lot of self-doubt that creeps in, and it takes a lot of energy just to beat down the self-doubt before I can even get to the content production part, to put it quickly.
That's taken away from your success. Like every minute you every minute you spend trying to convince yourself not to do something is minutes taken away from succeeding.
Right. And even just like having to get over the self, like it's such a process throughout, from the generation of the self-doubt all the way through the defeating it as well. If you choose not to let it get to you, which when you have like depression and anxiety stuff, it can be a big inhibitor. But I mean, the people I've known in this industry that have done well have all been those that just have like a little entitlement and a lot of gumption.
Here's what I'm going to say, which is not nice, but like if your depression and anxiety gets the best of you, then fucking quit. Like if you always have a logistical reason why you can't create something, like then you're not built for it. Like I just don't think that everybody that wants to do it gets to do it. The ones that figure out how to create unabashedly and for themselves, like those are the ones that get the rewards. If you're not willing to give up your self-doubt, you're never going to be successful. You should just sign up for a job that pays what you want and figure that out. You know, there's no other way around it. Like I mean, the excuses on why you can't do stuff because there's no consequences for performing online. And the people that get viral videos, they didn't plan it at all. They made 100 videos every single day, and then one of them hit. And they never felt bad about it. And all the folks that sit around and second guess themselves and you know, you judge other people, and then all of a sudden that same judging eye comes back on you. So all of a sudden you can't create because you judge the way that other people create, and you fucked yourself over. And if you're going to get tied up in that, just give up. Just don't do it anymore. Stop podcasting. Stop TikToking. You're not built for it. You know, like, I get over it eventually. That's why I can do it, because I'm not going to let it hold me down. But if there's people, it's not just you. I get DMs every single month about people that want to be hyped up that they should keep trying, but like, you should stop. Eventually you should stop. You shouldn't keep doing it you shouldn't waste your whole life trying to do something you have to convince yourself to do. You should just stop.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, the eventually is the key word I think that you used, because a lot of people face uphill climbs, and you can get over them. You know, for me personally, I've had years where I felt like I was way past them, and then it's also been something that I've had to manage, and it's, you know, in its return over the last few years or whatever.
It's a lifelong thing.
It's all good stuff.
It's actually like a lifelong thing that you deal with. But like, I mean, Brett's kind of right. It's like,
he's totally
I mean, if it hurts to do, then it might not be for you, because it is also like a painful sort of business to be involved in too, you know, like any kind of art, period, or whatever you call podcasting or whatever. Like, it's a very difficult thing to be in. You always feel like, I don't know what the word is. Like, I've always said it feels like you're climbing a rope with like oil on it, because like, you make advances, but it never feels like an advance. And if you're built for it, it just means that you're like, for me, it is like a thing where it's like, I just want to be comfortable. It is like the only thing I think. But like, I also know I'm not built for comfort. I'm not like a comfortable guy. And like, I understand that it's going to be, I understand that it's a struggle, I guess. And at
the end of the day, it comes easy to you.
Right.
If someone puts a mic in front of you, it comes easy.
That's what I'm saying. If it hurts to do, then I say don't do it. To me, like, that's my opinion. Is like, there are times where I don't want to podcast now. There are times where I want to take days off and stuff like that. But the truth is, when Sunday shows up, when Wednesday shows up, or when the POD cast has to get recorded, or when I have to do a guest spot on one of my friends' shows, like, I do show up and I do enjoy myself. It's literally like, it is about doing it. It's the doing part of these things that like is important. And if you can't like make yourself do it, then I would like to see you find an easier thing, like a way that is natural, that doesn't feel hard to do.
I talked to somebody that said they wanted to be a musician, and it's like, well, why aren't you tapping on top of the fucking oatmeal box? Like, why aren't you like shaking the pan in a way that is fun? Like, if it's just something you want to do, doesn't mean that you get to have it. That doesn't mean that it's like what comes naturally or what you're built for.
I mean, and shit, you know, I'm sure it's the same in music. Like, that's another job that is going to constantly feel like success is just out of your reach. There's not like a metric for success, and it always feels just out of your reach, no matter how successful that's how I felt doing this. Is that like, if you had told me what I make now, I would be making what I make now 5 years ago, I would be like, fuck, I'm done. I don't even got to try no more. And then like, now it's like, I want more. Like, I want to achieve more. I want these signifiers of success to show up in my life. And like, I'm constantly trying to convince myself that that is coming, that is on the horizon, and that is possible.
Totally. I always kind of conceptualize it as kind of like a car wash, you know, where like you're sort of getting pummeled and sprayed in the face and things hitting you from all angles, and you're not sure where it finally ends. And once you get out of it, things get a little easier. There's going to be more car washes and more challenges, but the one of the emotional challenges of this sort of career versus, say, going to law school, where there's a more a visible higher or a visible ladder to climb to get to where you want to be. Of course, with some uncertainties, but this sort of thing has so much more uncertainty. You don't know how long the car wash is. So it could be any day now. It could be this or then. But you can influence the probability that it will come sooner than later if you keep trying and if you keep pushing and if you battle through the difficult periods. And that's how I see it. It hasn't, I'm fully committed to doing it. Nothing else makes sense as far as I'm concerned. But I'm taking kind of a comprehensive view on doing leftism and comedy kind of connected content, more or less. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. Thank you for the advice. Good stuff.
Yeah. That for me is, it is like, I'm not one to tell people that they can't do something. Like, I think that you should always, if you have this vision in your mind of a thing that you want to do, which I had
100.
And if you have this vision and then you want to do it, which is the next step, but you can't get to the point where you do it, it's like, I don't want you beating yourself up because you haven't been able to get to the point to do it. Maybe it's just not like, I mean, maybe you have some things to work through before you do it. I know I did. Like, it took a lot of working through feelings and, like, you know, even just the radicalization had to happen for Street Fight to happen. But it also, like, it took a lot of, like, okay, like, you know, me and Brett, when we started this show, had been friends for probably 6 months or something like that. We weren't like super close or anything like that, but we had been doing a podcast with two people that I was very super close with at the time. And it also took me just realizing, you know what, the chemistry is here. It like isn't there. And to have to do this thing where it's like, well, I'm sorry guys, like this is done. I can't do, me and Brett are doing this thing. And like, that is because like the chemistry, that's where the chemistry was. The actual chemistry was with Brett. And like, we developed our relationship over these years. But Street Fight was super early on. We weren't overly familiar with each other. We did not know each other like we do now. And that was just one of those things where like, we had to fucking, you know, we had to climb through shit to get to where we are, and like there was resistance every step of the way, and like we got out on the other end and did it. And people have to understand that there is going to be resistance every step of the way, and that like if that's tough, then like really there are things you can do and be happy. And like there are, I mean, I don't know what jobs you might be interested in, or if like you're interested in a hobby or something like that. Like I say, go for it. But like, it's just when I'm a depressed guy, but I'm very depressed.
We should hang out.
Yeah. I have like crazy anxiety and crazy depression, but like I worked super, like this was something that came easy to me. This was something that this was something that I was good at almost immediately.
Yeah, I think that like, well, and this was part of the Gary Vee episode of Get Motivated, but it resonated with me when I heard him say it, was that like, you should double down on your strengths and forget all of your weaknesses. Because we have a culture built around apologizing for not being good at calendars, or apologizing for not being able to focus when it comes to spreadsheets. But the reason that we're working with people, the reason that we're talking and arranging with them, is that they have a lot to offer. And those things that come naturally, those things that you're passionate about, you know, I also am a depressed person, but I'm able to show up to do the show every single week, regardless of my mental state. And that's like an indication that this is the thing that for me is what I need to spend my time on. This is the double down moment. I've got 11 against the dealer right now in blackjack. You know, it's you don't want to have the Atlas struggle when it comes to how you make your money or how you direct your life. And if you can get by with doing menial tasks and making a living, I think that's perfectly acceptable. I don't think we all have to be following our passion, but for those artists and creator people out there, just do what you want and figure out what you can get from it, and stop having self-doubt.
Yeah, I agree. The using your strengths. I listened to that Gary Veter episode. There's good stuff in there, and I'm sort of doing that with my own career. Not like I started out in stand up and then as trying to be a writer and other things, and those are things I still would pursue if opportunities came up, and got into podcasting and eventually became like working in LA and stuff. I don't need to read. I talked about it a little bit last time I called, but lately Brian mentioned a hobby or something. Like I've always loved woodworking. Right. I used to own a business. This is sort of a second career, this comedy and video production and stuff, sort of a second career for me. Before that, I owned an aquarium service and just sole proprietor, a real dumb shit job. I did a terrible job. I was good at talking to people. I was okay at keeping fish alive, but it was a perfect job to have while I was starting out doing stand-up because I could control my schedule and stuff. So it's one reason I like you guys, because I kind of have that blue collar, like make your own way mentality as well. And so lately I've been like, man, and that was my favorite part about the fish tanks was building stuff, was putting things together and building cabinets and stands and stuff. So now I've been trying to start a woodworking business, but I'm also doing it as a video production project as well, since I have that skill. And so I'm doing like build videos and YouTube stuff. It's a little tragic because I'm destroying a beloved hobby by converting it into what might be monetizable someday. I mean, like there's that angle to it. I don't think about that too much, and but
yeah, that sounds like a bad point of view to have. Is all to me. That's all I hear.
That's my primary point of view.
Here's a way to think of it in a self-destructive manner.
I mean, in the sense where like we're all sort of kept so close to the line of desperation that we look at our things we love and we look at them and we say, how can I make money off of it? That's what I mean by what's tragic. So anyway, I'm having I've done a lot of it's been off and on, but like politics, podcasting. I worked at the Young Turks. I was on the Jimmy Dore. I think I don't know. It was the guy that was on the Jimmy Dore show before. But this sort of shifting to hobbies, I feel like what I'm doing though is trying to unite my principles, because I have been radicalized in the last few years by the union campaign thing and by working for gig work and like I forgot the previous caller's name, but she said that there's like barriers to her leftism being activated or being awoken because liberals or because she was merely a liberal, and so that put a barrier up to her. And I'm sort of thinking my strengths are more in the vein of like trying to help along that conversation with that small percentage, that gradient that's not yet fully radicalized to the right, but they're still kind of conservative or liberal, because this country conditions everybody to be conservative or liberal, one or the other. They don't really. It took me forever to sort of like finally jump into the Marxism pool and start to learn about all this stuff and about anarchism and everything else. That's kind of like it's all a learning process for me. And so I don't know. I just feel like that might be a strength that's worth doing. And the woodworking is also a statement of principles. I'm only using like construction lumber and found furniture, and getting ready to start selling stuff on Etsy. And so that's it.
Yeah, I think
actually talk about pools.
The biggest part is you just have to live authentically and follow the things that you want to do. If you're not like beating people up to get your money, if you're not ripping people off. If you're not like horribly addicted to substances, then I think that you'll have your day in the sun eventually. There's this America sells everybody a quick fix or a pill or a solution to solve all of our problems. And it's only through right action every day that we have like an enjoyable tomorrow. So you have to behave today in a way that like will build your tomorrow. And if you're investing your time into those things, I hope you'll be fulfilled by the fruits of those results. That's what I believe. It's not what I follow, and it makes me miserable, and I don't always know what I'm doing, but I understand that as like the way of at least you have to at least say like I did what I could do. Like I think that like none of us are ever going to feel like we did enough. None of us are ever going to solve the problems that we see every single day. But if you tried that makes it enough. Trying is enough. Like, eventually you just have to accept it that I tried to make things different. That's enough. I didn't solve everything and the world didn't change overnight, but I tried. So that's enough. And I can go to sleep without any sort of restless nights.
Yeah. We're nobody's a superhero. We're all going to have to realize our roles are small but necessary. But no one person can change it all or fix everything. It's almost the chore of saving the world. I know that sounds cheesy, but like, there's extinction is more than likely, it seems, right? Like the species is probably not going to survive another 1,000 years.
But that's
and that's.
I think saving the world is arrogant. I think environmentalism is arrogant. I think recycling is arrogant. We're not in charge of the end of the world. We're not going to be in charge of how things end up. I think that you have to find your place like day by day. I'm just very of the moment of, like, be happy today and treat people right today. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
Right. Well, you sure. Let me clarify. I mean, like, individual acts of living your principles, and but also a culture that makes it okay for people to reject this narrative that's baked into the system. I think that's getting over the propaganda that's so woven into the fabric of America is it's a hazard. It's what the hell word about speed bump. It's huge, and if we could carve that out and help it so future people can too. But no, I don't mean like everybody should have a hero complex. I just think that you got to do your best and accept that you can't save the world is what I kind of mean. But you can only help by being as authentic and living your principles as close as you can. So that's
Absolutely.
More or less it. I was going to talk to Brian about the above ground pools and stuff, but I think I can save that for another call.
Yeah. we got to get out of here. We're way over
I know.
now.
I guess it's all good. Totally.
All right. Have a good
Didn't mean
night.
to take up so much time.
No,
you didn't.
Don't
You guys be well.
ever apologize.
Where can we? Do you want to? You have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, winners and losers on Twitch. I'm the winners and losers in the chat there, and I've been doing a Valheim gaming stream. Did it like several hours over this weekend, and I'm posting gaming clips on my channel Suck Professor. But for woodworking, go to bumrushindustries.com. That's a website I made. Got the first few build videos up there and some other stuff and some information, and I'm going to be updating that as I get my Etsy shop launched. So there's my depression. That's what I've been doing lately.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's great.
It motivates me.
That sounds constructive.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound depressive at all.
No, I've been productive, but still kind of operating on mere faith that it's going to work, which you have to do. I appreciate your call. You're taking my time.
Well, thanks for calling. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.
You can't get attached to the results. I think that's what, and I do the same. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody that called or him, but sometimes I want to turn the ship around and I decide I have an idea and I'm going to do it and it doesn't get the results that I want, which means that, like, I should feel bad about that. But the trying is the only thing that ever mattered. The results are negligent. I mean, if you can't make it work, if you're about to get kicked out for trying to run a small business, like, you probably aren't doing the right thing. But if you're doing a creative endeavor, there's no reason to feel bad about it. It's not going to help you to feel bad about it or to take into account all the negative feelings you should have about it. Thank you for listening to Street Fight Radio. I'm Brett Payne. My co-host is Brian Quimby. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk bullshit at each other. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Street Fight Radio. If you want to follow the show, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're Street Fight WCRS. On Twitch, we are twitch.tv/Street Fight Radio. I want to say thank you to everybody that helped us raise money for the Pathfinder RPG books today. I sent a tweet out earlier that some incarcerated people were looking for some out-of-print Pathfinder RPG books. We raised the money, and all the excess is going to books to prisoners. So anyone that chipped in on that, we appreciate it. We're going to keep it moving forward as much as we can, and it's only because of all y'all. We're on social media, and we're Street Fight. Peace.